Consequence Podcast Network.
This episode brought to you by
Nick B. Hey, Nick B.
Do you have a fun fact for Nick B, Mike?
Yeah, Nick B and his lovely wife, Miss B, went to the store.
Oh, did they?
They forgot their keys to their house when they got back.
Uh-oh.
And like all the Mikey movies, he kicked the door in.
What?
He did?
He went full Rowdy Piper on it?
Was Officer Boo there?
No,
Or did Officer Boo
He
lock
locked the
him
door.
out?
Yeah.
It was a classic Officer Boo prank.
Fun Mikey fact, my dog has locked me out of the house.
I know, Mikey. Your dog's insane.
She jumped up and closed the deadbolt.
This episode also brought to you by
Ryan.
Ryan doesn't adequately prepare the country for a coronavirus response.
Oh my God,
Ryan.
How could you let this happen?
Yeah, Ryan knew we were supposed to be testing.
She's constantly moving the goalposts.
Exactly.
Saying, there'll be like 15 infected, it'll die out. And then yesterday it was like, honestly, if only 100,000 people die, it'll be fine.
It'll be a 10. Hey, but
my
good
God.
news.
Ryan
Good news.
said the coronavirus was a Spider Tom hoax.
If you guys paid attention to the news, that joke would have killed.
I don't know what your political leanings are, but
Guys, do not vote for Ryan in 2020.
Yeah.
Please, for the love of God.
Except we love you, Ryan, and we're just kidding.
We
and it
do
makes me
love
stressful
you,
to be so mean.
Ryan. This episode also brought to you by Matt's.
Hey, Matt.
So Matt's is from Sweden, and he wants us to tell some fun Swedish facts. So
Sweet.
if you are a good driver in Sweden
Uh-oh.
and you've respected all the lights and stop signs, you deserve a treat. That's the idea behind the speed camera lottery.
Ooh.
Yeah. So in Sweden, if you've been a good driver, you're selected to win a portion of the fines collected by speed cameras. How awesome is that? That has to be one of the best moves by their government ever.
You know what I would do is I would like try to play chicken with people and like try to get them to try to speed through.
You're
so
just
I would
trying to gaslight
sabotage
people
them.
into like getting more tickets to ramp up your lottery pot.
Exactly. Yeah. And eliminate people.
What side of the road do they drive on, Jen?
Ooh, I'm going to say right.
Oh, I don't know if you're right. Matt, if you could let us know what side of the road you drive on, we appreciate it. Now it's time for another episode of The Patreonicals.
okay. We're 2 months after last episode,
Fade in.
2 months later.
which means it's 8 months after the Sunny Downer virus.
Sunny Downer. Wow. Oh my God. What is this? The Visit?
No, it's the Notebook.
Murder suicide.
No,
It
I
was.
refuse.
The world is it's getting a little Mad Maxy, but with the zombies and cannibals.
Naturally, yeah. Oh wait, it's been 8 months and they're still going on?
You know what?
They're not dying. Matthew's still in a coma.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
8 months later?
Yeah. No one knows he's alive. In the wilds of Arkansas
Right.
Okay.
is Eddie's Dinotopia with Mammals City.
Dinotopia.
Is it like a
I
theme
love
park?
it. Yeah.
No,
Or
it's
is
like
there a reserve?
No, it's like where they all live together in harmony, Jen.
he's made a city of survivors. He like calls out, does the radio. He's like, hey, come on, we got a bunch of animals and
And
cool places.
dinosaurs?
No, it's just like a Dinotopia-esque where like
It's a metaphor.
people and animals live in harmony, Jen.
Yeah, it's Mammaltopia.
Oh, okay.
So Matthew's in a coma, but his body moves around every day by elephants. They
I'm
like,
sorry, what? They like take
Like
him
Weekend
around?
at Bernie's?
Yeah.
Like when Lincoln got shot, we took him around by train for 8 months.
No, they're
doing that.
They're
with
doing
his body.
exercises to make sure his muscles
Oh,
don't atrophy.
okay.
Like with
I
their
gotcha.
trunks?
Yeah, and then they shoot water at him to bathe him and stuff. Yeah, they're gonna keep him strong under Eddie's guidance.
I love this, actually.
An elephant never forgets
How to bathe Matthew.
Well, this got
how
weird.
to care for people.
That's a better way of saying it, right?
So Eddie, he's the mayor of Mammaltopia, and he's got the radio calling out the survivors. He's like,
Right.
hey, we're in Arkansas.
Yeah.
We've built a city with a wall of wood around it.
A wall of wood.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They had one of hay and one of straw, but they didn't work very well.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
They
The
got a bunch of
wolves.
bricks lined up just in case this doesn't work out.
Okay.
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 It's
Maybe
near a
for-
lake, lots of rope ladders and tree houses.
And helpful animals.
This is 1,000%
Swiss Family Robinson.
Swiss Family Robinson, 100%.
but as a
Yeah.
city.
Right.
He's also calling to all the animals to come and like take refuge.
Right.
Okay.
And so every resident gets an animal best friend that lives with them.
Oh,
That's
Aw.
awesome. But can they talk or are they just like silent best friends?
They're silent best friends.
I'm all right with that. I mean, I have dogs that I love
Only
very
Eddie
much.
can talk to the dogs.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
To the
Well, and
animals,
animals,
to the
yeah.
Do you think they're always calling him over to try to translate?
No, he made a rule.
Oh, okay.
Because
It got
he's
too
gotta-
big. Yeah.
he's
Only
gotta
big,
govern.
big
He
couldn't
issues.
maintain it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a whole bureaucracy of Mammaltopia to take disagreements up.
Yeah, each species elects a delegate, and that delegate can take issues.
Can
a
the eagle
repres-
be the judge?
They have a parliamentary system.
In
Okay.
accordance with Mammal Carter,
Oh,
they
okay.
have to go through a parliamentary type system
Yeah.
and raise grievances up to.
I'm really glad
Eddie.
you guys are getting into this.
Oh, we're on board.
Okay, Kate, remember, they
Yeah.
found her at a pet store. They
Oh,
had a bunch
yeah.
of animal food from the pet store.
Right.
And Kate.
When they got their shampoo.
Yeah.
She recovered.
Oh, good.
Nice.
She
Yay.
has telekinesis powers.
Ooh, yes.
And she's in charge of leaving the city to find supplies and bring back.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because she can move things with her mind.
Right.
Yes. And sometimes she goes and rescues families and brings them back who are having trouble getting
Yeah.
here.
You know, she's in the
So
mood.
that just sets her up for future stories. But that's how her
Okay.
place in the city.
That's awesome.
She has a motorcycle
Nice.
with a sidecar
Ooh,
Right.
can an animal ride in the sidecar?
with an orangutan.
Yes.
And the orangutan is wearing little goggles.
The orangutan drives and she rides in the sidecar.
She's putting her feet up, relaxing.
If she's busy moving shit with her mind, she doesn't need to focus on driving.
yeah.
I get it.
She actually drives up to a bookstore, or her mind told her there's a dude in there.
Okay.
Uh-oh, who's the
Well,
dude?
nothing sexual. Come on, hold back, Jen. Come
Yeah.
on. I'm so tired
Yeah.
of you making this podcast.
It's not
about
Timothy
that.
Oliphant.
Who?
Yeah. Put the sweaters away. It's summer.
I mean, I'd like to take him off.
It's a guy named Michael.
Ooh, hey, Michael. Hey.
You just hey Michael Hayed, Michael.
Hey, Michael. Hey.
Hey, Michael, hey.
So he's back. He's in a bookstore. You may remember from earlier, but now he's in a bookstore. He went to the bookstore to get some how-to guides to survive the
That
apocalypse.
makes sense, man. Yeah.
He's fighting off Campbell zombies, and
Yeah.
orangutan pulls up. Kate floats away with the telekinesis.
Right.
Kills all the zombies with books
She like Phoenix.
through their heads or whatever.
Yeah, she just like quickly throws books at them with her mind.
Yeah, like
Right.
the Phoenix. Yeah. And then she's like, yo, bro, come on, let's go. And he's like, okay, cool. And then they go back to Mammatopia.
Oh, nice.
But he has to run behind them because there's no room.
Right.
He has his own car.
Oh,
It's a-
okay. He
it's
just
a
follows them back.
Prius.
I like Priuses. I had
Honestly,
one.
that is the car to drive in this type of situation.
Yeah, I'm not
Right.
making a joke. Isaac has founded another city.
Uh-oh. A rival
Uh-oh.
city?
They're not rivals yet.
Well, until they get hungry.
He's in Kansas. Have you guys ever seen the movie, the Thunderdome movie with Mad Max?
Yeah.
He basically just founds that city.
Thunderdome?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he-
Thunderdomington.
The Thunderdomington,
Oh, wow.
where he makes a Thunderdome to solve all justice. He's in charge. Well, and he's racked with guilt from ending the planet, so he feels really bad, but he wants to restart society, so he's
Yeah.
recruiting a lot of mechanics because he's like, if I'm going to do this, I want cool war cars like the Mad Max movies.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what he's doing. But this is going to be the main plot of the Patreonicals moving forward.
Spoiler.
Okay.
We don't know if Michael's a good guy or a bad guy.
You think he was sent by Isaac?
Find out next week on another episode of The Patreonicals. This episode finally brought to you by Chris.
So Chris just wants everyone to know that you are not alone. And I know a lot of us are isolated and quarantined by ourselves right now, or quarantined with people that are stressing them out a lot. And Chris just wants to remind everyone that we might not be physically together, but we are always together. And we love you and we see you.
We do love you guys.
And we hear you, and we're all in it together, and we're gonna get through it. And
Yeah.
it's gonna be
We're
hard.
going to check
but
on
it's
each
gonna be
other.
fun.
And,
And honestly,
Yeah.
we've been doing a lot of stuff in the Facebook group to sort of feel more connected to at least that community. So join in on that. Like we had a bunch of people
Yeah.
doing Facebook Live events. I did one last week with my girlfriend. I'm sure you guys are going to do some
they're
as well.
organizing game nights for themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
dude.
awesome. All right.
Yeah, and we love you, Chris. Thank you.
Hey, do you guys see that?
What is it?
There's like a trunk in the corner.
I
Uh-oh.
bet there's some junk in that trunk.
It's me. Oh, jeez.
Yo, we should open that trunk.
No, I
Oh
heard
my
it
God,
knocking and
it's the theme
screaming.
music.
No!
That's the thing. She said. What's the secret ingredient? I was like, what? I don't
Wait,
know.
she was asking you what the secret ingredient was?
I mean, there's mac and there's cheese.
Yeah,
And
the
sometimes there's
ingredients are the
water.
name.
Is the secret ingredient microwave?
She goes, so I was like, what is the ingredients? And she's like, yogurt, cheese, butter. And I was like, those are all dairy products.
The only thing that's not dairy there is the macaroni.
It's 90% mad.
I just
dairy.
stared at her.
Welcome to the Horror Virgin, everyone. I'm Jen.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin Todd, which means I don't like scary movies, but you guys make me watch them. And this week, it's another episode of Mikey
The
Month.
Mikey
Yeah.
Month.
And Mikey is making us watch The Collection.
Which isn't as batshit insane as most of my movies.
No, this is actually, I would say, a legit horror movie, whereas some of the other ones are like horror comedies.
Yeah.
Right? Like House 2 or
Yeah,
even
yeah,
like
yeah.
They Live.
Yeah. This one is a real movie.
Right. This one doesn't have a wrestler main character.
Right.
I get it. It's not my best pick.
This one was not. This one was not actually financed by cocaine.
We'll get into that when we talk box office, Jen. So, have you guys seen this before?
No.
Yes.
Okay, so Mikey, clearly this is one you've seen before, Mikey.
Okay, I love this movie.
Right.
Mainly because it was just the first one and this one. There's a rumor there'll be a third one. But I like it because it like wraps it up in a nice little bow. Because it kind of like teases you with like, oh, he got away again. And then it like kicks him in the nuts at the end. I was like,
man.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
and we'll talk about them when we go
unexpected.
through it. Yeah, absolutely. Jen, what did you think about
I
it?
mean, this definitely still could have a sequel, though.
Absolutely,
But it doesn't
could.
need one.
No, I don't think so either. I think it could end where it is. Yeah, and I would
Nay,
be happy.
I demand they make one.
Yeah.
I like the series because
Yeah, me too.
It's just different. It's not like Michael Myers where he's like, when he gets up again. But nay, my favorite part of this movie is that the end of the first movie where I thought it was a cheap thing where the collector grabs Arkin at the very end of the last movie and it cuts the credits. I'm like, well, that's bullshit. And then in the next movie, I'm like, well, they better like fix it.
Do something
Yeah.
with it.
And it just takes place right for when he gets kidnapped. And I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I do enjoy when sequels do that. Yeah.
They picked up right where it left
Right.
off. Yeah, I love that. I liked this movie quite a bit. There were some moments that were like hard for me to watch, although I made myself watch them and you guys looked away, you bastards.
Yeah, man.
But they were gross. Like, this movie is not super jump scary. There are some jump scares in it, but it's mainly like body horror, which I don't love either. Jen, I think you do worse with that than I do.
Yeah, I do not
So
like
I bet
it.
you rate it higher on the scary scale when we get to that. But I like this movie. I like Arkin a lot as a character. I like the collector's mask a lot. I think it's probably the best mask of any masked figure.
Okay.
I
He's a
like
cool
the collector.
villain. Yeah.
He's a cool villain. Yeah, I'm on board for it.
I don't like this movie. This is not the kind of movie that I seek out or really enjoy. But for the movie that it is, it's great. Like,
Yeah.
it does what it is doing very well. I just don't happen to like the kind of movie it is.
Yeah, I don't think this is really like projection horror where you can
No.
like work out your feelings with it. If
Right,
that
and I mean,
makes
I
sense.
could probably do that if I really tried, but yeah, it's just a lot.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're like,
I need a blog entry on this in 3 weeks.
I mean, aren't we all trapped in our own red chest of pain?
honestly, yes,
I mean,
Jen.
aren't we all mannequins in some way? No, but I will say, like, it's just a lot of body horror
It
and
is, yeah.
grossness that it's not for me. But for the kind of movie it is, it's great.
I think it does that type of movie well. I don't
Right.
particularly like that type of movie.
I don't
Yes.
like it as much as the first one because I feel like the first one's more of like a Arkin versus the collector.
And it's
like,
really
cat
almost
and
a
mouse
single
game.
location
Yeah.
movie. It's
Yeah.
really quite good.
There's a certain point where it's like there's just so much grossness. It feels like it never lets up, you know? Whereas I feel like the first Collector was like there was a little bit more of that suspense element. And this one, like they go in and it's just like around the corner terrible thing, another corner terrible thing, you know?
Yeah.
So towards the end, I kind of was a little exhausted and it like the kind of lost its shock value, you know? Which is something I think the first one does very well.
Yeah. The first one I think was like more like body horror, more like suspense, like cat and mouse, and this one's kind of like more actiony.
It is more action than the first one,
Yeah.
whereas I think the first one, you're right, is more suspense.
I also think this one has a bigger budget.
We'll get there, guys. Calm
Uh-oh.
down, baby birds. Daddy's gonna feed you. But let's get into the movie.
All right, we start with a voiceover, and Mikey getting really mad because we were talking
Oh my
while
God.
this important voiceover
And that's so
happened.
ironic. I wish you guys were here when we watch movies because
Yes.
it's always Mikey and me talking. But this time it was Jen and I talking, and Mikey was the one who was like, "Guys, shut up! You're gonna miss it. This is a really important part of the movie."
Yeah, you made us stop several times because it was
Yes.
the most important part of the movie. So we have a voiceover of someone telling Elena that this is going to be the hardest day of her life. It turns out it's Shooter McGavin.
Yeah, it's Shooter McGavin talking
Yeah,
to
man.
Elena.
He's talking to a little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elena is his little girl.
Yes, I got that the mom died or
They're
something.
driving.
Something
They're
like
like
that, yeah.
driving away from the funeral,
Oh.
and she's like, "Don't ever leave me, Daddy. Promise." And he's like, "I promise. I guess that I'll always take care of you."
I sort of got the impression that he is like a super workaholic type dad or whatever.
Yeah,
and
like
then
Cats in the Cradle.
yeah, and then he was sort of promising her that will change and he'll be around
Yeah,
more.
'cause he
And
did say
honestly,
that.
and he does. There's enough context. To
There
say
is.
it.
I think that there is because it shows as she's leaving the house in a few minutes that we'll get to.
Right.
They have a pretty good relationship.
Right.
So I do think he honored that promise.
Yeah, he bought
Yeah.
her a castle to live
And he
in.
turns her. And
True.
He's like,
Yeah, I mean that golfing money it definitely pays for
I
a huge
know,
ass
man.
house. Yeah.
then he turns to his daughter and goes, why are we stopping at that stop sign? Boom!
Yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
that jump scare got me.
It got me
I
too.
literally jumped at that crash.
I usually do get very stressed when characters are driving in cars because I'm always afraid that they're
But
going to get
in
hit by a
all
car crash.
fairness, they were driving in a car like Mikey drives in a car. They
With
had a
the driver?
Yeah, so
Mhm.
it wasn't like they were like on the steering wheel or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Drive faster past these wood-paneled houses.
Yes. They're probably watching Nickelodeon in there.
Simpletons.
The stench is in my nostrils.
Guys, when the inevitable rebellion happens, we're going to Mikey's house and taking our money. Our money, Mikey, because we're the ones that made you rich.
Right. We drove your ass all over town.
I like that the guy who works at a nonprofit
I
is the
know.
one that we make jokes about being the 1%.
I love it.
I'll take my high insurance deductible plan and go.
Deductible. So now we have some credits, and
Yes.
there are spiders. And I realized that Mikey had betrayed me and chosen another spider.
Yeah, although
movie.
Mikey's afraid of spider movies too.
I know.
But I face my fears. That's why I watch movies.
You're like Arkin.
But there's lots of spiders and there's
Yes.
bugs and there's swords, and it's to not 9 Inch Nails, like lady singing 9
Yeah,
Inch
it's
Nails.
like Bobo 9 Inch Nails.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Nails
basically
Inch 9.
it's trying to be the opening credits of 7. Now, Todd, do you have a grudge against these opening credits?
I don't like opening credits in general. These were fine because shit was happening and it was sort of world building, so
And it
that
was
was
kinda
fine.
quick.
But yeah, and it wasn't very long. It was
Yeah.
like 20 seconds tops, so
Yeah.
it's fine. But I mean, normally just tell your story. I mean, this movie was really short. It was like 80 some minutes,
82
right?
minutes.
So like they had to fill time. So
That's
I
true.
get it.
And they bought the rights to that 9 Inch Nails song, too,
Right.
so they wanted to use
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
All right, so now we have the news talking about a serial killer, and this is the serial killer, the Collector.
Yeah.
And he's been killing a lot, and he traps them in their homes or workplaces. He usually, one person from each crime is missing, and so they may be still alive and held captive.
Right.
And so now, like, because this is what they're talking about, what happened in the last movie, and I like that this is expanding upon that universe. 'Cause
Yeah,
the last
absolutely.
movie we only saw at that one house.
Right.
So for all we know, this could have been, except for there was a previous victim, this could have been like an isolated thing.
Absolutely.
And now we know this is an ongoing thing. And they're talking about how like people are scared. And
Well, yeah, because the scope, like, he has a ton of victims.
Yeah.
man.
Like hundreds of victims.
On the news, Huey Lewis is saying that there's like 50 people that have been taken
Right.
and many more dead. So it's like
Yeah.
real scary.
He's prolific.
I mean, he
Yeah.
is the unlaziest person.
Yeah, this is why a serial killer should never do cocaine.
right. Yeah.
What if I like move into that abandoned hotel? Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great idea
I'll take the money from the haunted amusement park. How can we lose?
that my family runs.
I got all these red boxes. What am I to do with them?
I think he has those people he kept in the basement making like license plates or something he was selling.
What you guys don't know is underneath Disney is this type of environment, and they're just making all the plushy toys for their merch stores.
My Buzz Lightyear has a note that says, "Help me."
Oh, it's covered in blood. So Arkin is on the news, and he's the latest missing person, and we get an interview with Arkin's wife. And so now the opening credits are over, and we see a cochlear implant or a hearing aid. I'm not exactly
It's not
sure.
a cochlear implant because it's not an implant.
That's
but
right. Yeah.
It is an in-ear hearing aid, and
Yes.
it was on the side of the ear that was in the car accident. So I have to
Yeah.
assume, and it's only one,
Uh-huh.
so I have to assume that impact caused some hearing damage in that one ear, but the other one's fine.
Right. Yeah. And so we see someone who we're going to find out is grown-up Elena.
Yes.
And she's talking to her boyfriend who is
on the
canceling
phone.
plans.
Yeah, and he's blowing her off, but she seems like she's sort of fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not super into him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think she is sort of into him, but she also needs to study, and she's not like a super clingy girlfriend.
Right.
Where if they cancel plans, she's like, that's fine, whatever, we'll see you whenever.
but they do say I love you.
Oh, did they say I
I
love
think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I think that they
okay,
were-
then maybe
Yeah.
Yeah.
she is into him. Yeah, so you know the boyfriend's lying to her at the phone call because he's like, "Oh, I'm stuck in work so late."
Oh, okay.
And he's
Oh.
calling from outside.
Yeah.
I'm going
I-
into a tunnel.
I honestly just thought like he may have worked at like a bar or something, so he stepped
Yeah,
out because
me
there is
too.
music, but that's the music from the club.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Maybe
okay,
he
Uh-huh.
works at the club.
yeah, so I'm on board for that. That makes sense.
I took
Mike.
my 17th watch to catch that.
You've watched this movie too much.
But so then she hangs up and she's kind of resigned herself to just luxuriating in her palace all night.
Yeah.
But she gets a call from her friend who's going to a party and convinces her to come
And this is
out.
when we find out it's a palace because they pull
Yes.
up in this beat up old rinky dink car and we see the house from their perspective. And I was like, holy shit, they live in a castle.
Right.
And then she does decide to leave, and she passes Shooter McGavin on the way out.
Yeah, who's sitting asleep in a throne or something.
Right. It's like it's a big reclining chair.
Look, they have to be rich or the rest of the movie doesn't work.
Well, that's true. Yeah, it's like a throne made of red velvet or something.
If the victim was a poor person, the movie wouldn't happen.
And
Right.
Shooter McGavin's just bitching about having a dream, and he's just like muttering things about Adam Sandler, and she, covers him up with a blanket and leaves.
He just can't get over it.
And her
man.
best friend Blue Eyes was like, I can't believe your dad let you out. And she's like, oh, he's passed out drunk.
Yeah. Is that what she said?
He's asleep. But like, he had a bunch of bourbon. Been there, brother.
It's a
He's
nightcap.
bourbon asleep.
But we're getting some advice about hooking up with girls in this car because we've got our fellow
Yeah.
friend, and our lady friend.
And their names don't matter because
They
they're
don't.
almost dead.
Yeah.
But it sets it up like they're gonna have a plot because
It
he's
does,
like,
yeah.
I really like her, and like,
Uh-huh.
he's like, well, don't talk to a girl and tell her you want to sleep with her. Just say like, nice shoes.
Or you could just talk to her like a human being.
Yeah,
and
talk
see
to her
what
like a
happens.
person.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you like her shoes, say shoes nice. Nice shoes.
Wow.
Sorry, I forgot how to talk. for a
Wow, that
minute.
was amazing, Jen.
That's
now
why
we
I
know
don't
why
hook up
Jen
with
has
girls.
trouble with women.
It's hard, guys.
That's amazing. Anyway, so Elena gets in the car and he in the back seat goes, "Nice shoes," real quiet,
Aw,
like real
he's
creepy.
got a
It's not
crush.
awe, it's real creepy.
It kind of is.
He's like,
yeah.
"Nice shoes."
If he would have said it with like a little bit more confidence, it would have been a really good joke.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. He means it.
I do like when we see him later just yelling nice shoes at people, though.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
yeah, we'll get there, Jen. We'll get
Sorry.
there.
I mean,
sorry.
it's like the next scene.
Yeah,
Okay, so they're driving away, and so now they're in the alley trying to find this party.
Yeah, they're like, it's a speakeasy, or it's like a secret club,
secret
thing.
underground club. Yeah, and you can only get in with a password.
But this is actually the most elaborate trap from horror movie history because the collector has to rent an event space,
yeah.
build a stage,
Hire a DJ.
hire a DJ, hire a doorman,
Yeah.
market it.
Underground marketing.
You know how difficult it is?
Yeah.
You just see a guy with like a collector mask on the corner handing out flyers.
I was like, how did this even happen?
Oh yeah.
Okay, and the password is nevermore, so he even has time to think up a douchebag password.
I mean, the collector is a mad genius.
Yeah, but he's not a writer, Jen.
Yeah.
He's up on the
He's
password.
only read that word. But like, what was his thought process here?
Get people to a club so I can thresher them to death.
Yeah. But also, like, how long does it take to set all of this up? And compared to how long it takes him to murder everyone.
Yeah,
You know?
no joke. Probably a month to set up, 5 minutes to execute.
Right.
And during that month, does he just leave everyone?
just like
in his
dating
hotel?
me.
I mean, that is how long it takes to get you to look at the calendar for the podcast.
That's
We're
right.
talking about sex, Jen.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, but I
I'm
guess.
sure I would
That's
know.
just as fulfilling for her as calendar filling
Oh,
out.
calendar.
Color coded. Oh.
You know who I feel bad for? The doorman, who's like, man, I'm making $100 tonight.
I know.
And then like he pushes the button once, the door stays shut, and then he's like, hears all the screams. He's like,
I gotta go.
I'm on probation.
It's a shame I didn't get paid up front.
Yeah, you always get paid up front. That's a rookie
You're never
mistake.
seeing that money.
Don't face him. He Venmos him.
It just got like, you know how they have like emojis?
It's like
just got a
roach, dead body, blood.
collector mask.
Tractor.
Oh, I love this.
All right, so the Venmo goes through and is accepted.
Right.
And so now they're in the dance party, and we get like a dance musical montage.
Yeah,
And
we're
everyone's
hearing-
really pretty in this.
Oh,
club.
yeah. And we're hearing Nine Inch Nails again. And this is where Elena sees her actual boyfriend making out with somebody else.
Yes, yeah, and it's very emotional.
They have a non-verbal argument.
Well,
He
because
does
it's so
because
loud. Yeah.
He's basically, he just looks at her and goes like, oh no, I got a dick. What am I going to do? And then she waits for the
Been
musical
there.
downbeat.
she
and-
dance fights.
No,
Yes,
it's
she
not
does.
just the downbeat. She like drops the beat where like it builds up and builds up and builds up and then stops and then punch right when the beat comes back in.
It's like the music itself said, damn, girl.
I know. Damn,
you get
girl.
him. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
she like storms off, and her one friend follows her, and then she looks back and sees her one friend following her, and then she's like, "I'm too mad to talk to my
I
friend,"
know,
and
but
keeps
she says
storming
it
off.
non-verbally.
Yes.
She says, no.
Acting.
Yes.
I think that's what saves her from hitting that tripwire, though, because
Yeah.
instead of continuing to walk in the hallway, she turns and goes into the room.
Yeah.
Right. She goes into a room. And so and so a lot of this is happening at the same time.
Right.
But we have panned up to see the collector. So then she goes into, I guess it's a bathroom, and we see the red trunk of collector.
I think it's just a room. There's no toilets or anything in there.
Yeah.
The best part of this scene is it cuts back to the guy who had a crush on her in the car, and he's making out with the girl
Yes.
that her boyfriend was making
Oh,
out with.
yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, did he yell nice shoes at her a bunch?
No, but he did yell nice shoes at someone else just randomly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you
He played
gotta
the numbers
swing.
game that night.
yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, it's all about numbers, man.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't
Yeah.
take, but respect women.
He's respecting their shoes.
They look real good on the floor,
One of those cushion Louboutins?
Technically, they're on their floor if you're just standing there.
That's true.
Honestly, that's not a creepy thing to say to a woman in shoes.
If you said they look real good around my ears.
Yeah, that's the gross thing to say about shoes.
All right, so there's a red trunk in the bathroom and it's making noises. And so she opens the trunk and it's Arkin
Yes.
from the first movie.
He's really bloody because Arkin gets the shit kicked out of him in the first movie.
Yes.
Right. Well, and so if we remember from the first movie, this is kind of one of the things that said this is like the trunk harbinger,
Yeah.
the trunk binger.
Trunk
if you
binger,
will.
absolutely.
As the trunk is opening, that's what sets in motion the Rube Goldberg Lionsgate
it is
gears.
very Rube Goldbergian, yeah. We quickly find out, though, that that's what starts this, like, thresher above them, and then it starts to swing down over the dance floor, and you literally see people just get quickly ripped apart.
Right.
It is
Ugh.
brutal.
Hundreds of people.
The thing that I thought was crazy about this scene, I sort of get everyone's facing the DJ and it's coming up from behind them and it's loud, so they may not hear it. But the DJ gets got too.
Yeah.
And she's looking out over the crowd. How do you not see that coming at you?
Yeah.
She was a really lazy DJ.
She was just looking down at her turntables.
Yeah, texting.
No, she's just new at it, so she's not like able to look up that much. She couldn't see through her dead mouse head.
But so anyway, they all get splattered, and boyfriend who cheated with blonde girl who's now dead, he gets part of his hand cut off, but he escapes on the floor.
And he gets out. I
Yeah.
thought he was going to come back.
I think he did. I think he was one of the guys with the bomb strapped to him.
I think he might have been.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize him.
it.
Yeah. So, and we see like bodies all over the floor, and it's really gross.
Yeah, the collector's just up there, and he's like licking his lips.
Right.
He's like, oh, that was well worth the months and thousands of dollars of effort.
He's
Yeah.
rock
Because he had
hard
to put a
watching it all
deposit on that
happen.
event space.
Maybe he's got family money. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's got to have family money.
I mean, he's got a museum full of crazy.
He's definitely in the 1%. This is 1,000% a class warfare movie.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I told you it's a projection movie.
Yeah. 100%. I'm going to pull a Jen and say yes, Mikey.
Whatever.
It is.
I'm on board. Sure.
But anyway, everyone's sort of running around going crazy,
Yeah.
and people are running past the room that Elena is in, and like one of them sets off the tripwire, and it just
Yeah.
starts like
Slicing,
meleeing these like sword or like
Yeah.
it's insane.
well, you know, the penitent man shall pass.
No one goes on one knee though, and so a lot of heads get chopped off here.
So people start getting cut in half, and then we see Friend, and she is kind of in a hallway, and then gates close around them, and there's like a gate grid on top, and it starts to crush down. And I think the collector is standing on top
Yeah,
of
He
this
is.
is,
gate
and
thing.
Elena runs out and sees her and goes
Yeah.
up and like watches her friend get squished.
Oh, and this is gross because it
Yeah,
just keeps
This is gross.
crushing down, and then like eventually it gets down to the very bottom, and like the blood starts squirting.
Well, actually,
up.
Jen, it's a metaphor for the 1% and the crushing oppression.
I mean, I think it is.
Yeah, Mikey.
Yeah.
I'm glad you picked up on it.
I know, because they're squeezing the life out of the people on the bottom.
Out of the middle and bottom class. Yeah.
Right.
Just their enjoyment.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
Oh my God. If
Just for their entertainment.
If this episode does not end with us leading a revolution, we have not done our job.
Viva collection!
Still pretty lazy.
Yeah, guys.
Throwing a Molotov cocktail at a car is on my bucket list.
I can make that happen, Mikey. Follow me. Welcome to the Friends of the ABC, Mikey. Nothing's going to go wrong.
All right, so Gate squashes all of them, and it's really sad. And we don't see very much of it though, but it's just
She takes it like a champ. She's like, those weren't my tier A friends.
Those are my
like
also
my
ran
tier
friends.
C. Like, this is like my third level plan. So like,
yeah.
And then Arkin got her earring that fell on the floor when
Yes.
she opened the thing, and he's used that to bust out of his chains.
Did it get pulled out of her ear?
It came out.
Okay.
It just
didn't-
fell out. He didn't pull it out.
It didn't
Yeah.
rip out. Yeah, so
He did
her
not-
ear's fine,
Yeah,
Jen.
Arkin does not hurt women.
Yeah, so now he's free.
Yes, he's free. So they're in the hallway, and Elena is seeing a girl who's got like a slice out of her neck, and it's like spurting blood, and she's
Oh, it's
dying.
graphic, man.
Oh, it is. And she sees Arkin, and Arkin's about to go jump out the window, and Arkin, like, it's like he kind of has this moment where he's like, should I go help her? But also, this really fucking hurts. And then Collector grabs her from behind.
Yeah, but he does not go help her.
does not,
Which she
yeah.
brings up later. She throws it in
does.
his face.
Arkin is covered head to toe in blood.
Exactly.
And he's like not doing well. I mean, if you watch the first movie, Arkin
Arkin
he
got
gets,
fucked up.
He's pretty fucked up, yeah.
Yeah. And Collector just grabs her and runs away. It's not like he can do anything.
Even if
Right.
he tried to run towards her, the Collector would have beat him there.
Right.
So he picks up a dead body, which happens to be the dead body of her friend.
Yeah.
And then he runs out the window and busts the window out and then uses that body as like an impact shield
Right.
against the car
He's
they
the
hit.
smartest dude.
Dude, yes, he is.
That's why I like these movies, because it's like not your usual protagonist, Elena included.
I
They're just
agree,
like
yeah,
really
yeah.
smart.
So anyway, it fades to white or something, and then
Mm-hmm.
Arkin wakes up in the hospital.
Yeah.
And they're
Well,
like,
we see him
it's
put
a
Elena
news-
in
it's-
the box first.
Oh,
So Elena's
yeah.
now in the red box
Yeah.
of collection.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
and then the Collector looks out the window at Arkin,
Yeah.
And
He
he's like,
says,
"Ah."
I'll see you in hell, Arkin.
and Arkin's like, "Oh, fuck you too," and he runs
yeah.
off.
He limps off down
Those
the
are
street.
legit lines of dialogue from this from this movie.
They said it with their eyes. There's a lot of nonverbals going on.
There is,
but
yeah.
you can read it.
Yeah, Arkin has a real "you can go fuck yourself" face.
Right,
whenever
he
the
just gives a
Collector's
shrug.
around.
He's like, what do
Later
you
on,
want me
he
to do?
does yell that at him, but
That is true. Yeah.
All right. So now Arkin is in the hospital. We see him like going through and they like reset his arm that's been
yeah, they
broken.
make it. And his wife from the first movie. So in the first movie, his wife and daughter were being kidnapped by the mob. You know,
Right.
and
I
this
guess
kind of
that's
resolves
resolved.
that side plot because they
Right.
visit him in the hospital.
Yeah, well, and we also hear the doctor say that he's got scratches on his arm that were self-inflicted. And
Yes.
I figured that was him like marking the days. Or
I thought it
something.
was the Collector doing that, and they just said it was self-inflicted.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty big jump after all of his
Yeah.
other injuries to be like, oh, that's self-inflicted.
Right.
That's a pretty big leap there, Doctor. Yeah.
And then he's all cleaned up and his wife is in the hospital talking to him.
Right.
And it was so nice that she sent him flowers, but not so fast. Those are collection flowers. Because it says for the collection, which was the same card that was on the note that was on top of the box in the beginning.
Yes.
Right.
So we know
But the
something
card
is amiss.
says, "I can't wait to see you and your family
Uh-huh.
soon." So, in all of the time that it took to set up the venue, hire the DJ, get a doorman, set up an insane murder hotel that's been abandoned, kidnap 60 people, he found time to send flowers. If I learned anything from this movie, it's that men do have time.
He
Yeah.
is the most thoughtful serial killer
Yeah.
ever.
It's because
Yeah.
he pays attention to the details.
Yes.
Arkin is the
You
one
know?
that got away.
And he listens.
And no one else did.
Yeah. Hey, and you got to let them go and let them come back to you.
And
He
And
does.
he does.
He does.
Oh my God. This is a romantic comedy if
Aw.
viewed through the right lens.
right. It's like
And
the reverse
honestly,
notebook.
Yeah, it might honestly end the way the notebook ends
It
in a murder
pretty much
suicide.
does.
Ooh. All right, but so now he knows that Collector is about to go fuck up his whole family. He says, "Wife, you got to get out of here.
Yeah, go to your sisters and
yeah,
don't come back."
tell
Yeah.
anybody where you're going. Yeah, don't even pack."
He thinks so fast.
He does.
So wife gets out of there,
Yeah.
and now he's got armed guards outside his door. But now we've got like this guy, and it's like Shooter McGavin's henchman. And I never found out what his name was, but I called him Windows because he punches through the window at a certain point.
He's Shooter McGavin's bodyguard.
He's Lucello.
He's the guy who rescues the daughter from the car wreck.
Yes, he is, which we're about to find out. We don't know that
Right.
just yet. Right now, we just know he's mysterious.
Yeah, but his name in the movie
Is
is
Lucello?
Yeah, it's Lucello. It's Lee
Lucello.
Turgeson, who's been in a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
like
he's
hey,
a
it's
hey,
that
it's that guy. Yeah,
but
yeah.
his name is Lucello in this. But we can call him Windows. I'm
Yeah.
fine with that. Yeah.
So he comes in, window bodyguard guy. He comes in and he looks like he's one of those like high priced lawyers.
100%. I
Yeah.
thought that too.
And so he's like trying to negotiate with Arkin. He's saying, I work for a powerful man. And it's Elena's father, Shooter McGavin.
Yeah.
And so he says, we know the Collector has Elena. We're assembling an elite task force to try to go save her because we've got 48 hours and we know you know where he is. Will you help us?
And he says yes, but I will only get you there. I am not going inside.
Exactly.
That is
yeah.
his deal.
And he
they're
says,
like,
okay.
yeah, sure. That sounds
Winky
great.
blinky.
Yeah.
But why does he agree to go? Do they
Yeah, is
offer
there a
him
scene
money?
where they offer him money?
I don't think so. I think he just goes because he wants to kill him because he's
Because he knows he's targeting his family.
Yes, I think that's. I think
Me
he's
too.
tricking them
Yeah.
to take him.
I don't think he's tricking them so that they'll take him. I think he's tricking them so that they'll kill the collector. All he has to
Right.
do
Oh,
is get
yeah.
them there.
Right.
And then ipso facto, his family's protected
Right.
because the collector's dead.
Because
Arkham
he
rolls
knows
with
the
it.
the cops aren't going to be able to collect.
No,
to
not
protect
unless
him.
magically a homeless person gets shot.
True.
This movie's so good.
It's the best. Let's go. Let's go.
So now we have flashback to the car accident, and we see that Shooter McGavin did not die in that accident. He got
Right.
thrown from the car, and his leg was all fucked up and broke.
Right. And we did see a cane next to the chair he was in.
Right, we
Yeah.
did. Yeah. And we'll see him limp later. But we see Elena screaming in the car, and then somebody busts through a window and earns himself a nickname that we're going to use.
Windows.
Yeah, it's Windows.
Yeah, it's Lucello. It's the
Yeah.
bodyguard.
So we see that Windows guy who is assembling this elite task force is like holding Elena in the road, and he's like kind of a surrogate father for her,
Right.
you know.
He really latched onto the little girl after he saved her.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think Elena did sort of see him as another father figure.
Right, exactly. And
Yeah.
it's clear they have a tight bond, which I really
Yes.
like. Now, Elena she wakes up from this flashback and she's in the trunk and she's peeking out. She kicks a hole in the box and she's looking
She
in.
just pokes a hole in the box.
She pokes
Yeah.
a hole in the box.
So she peeks outside the box and she sees a guy on like a medical table.
Right.
And he's like chained up.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to like
Get away.
get away.
Escape, yeah.
Yeah,
What a
yeah. And
loser.
then we see the collector walking around and he's got those little like scissor
Yeah.
shears.
And
like,
he's got a huge effing syringe.
yeah, dude.
And we
Ugh.
don't really see a lot of what happens
No,
here
thank
because
you.
we're in the perspective of the box.
Uh-huh.
But we hear the guy screaming and a lot of snipping, a lot of, I'm sure, gross shit is happening, but we don't see
And
it.
we see him like cutting, like, and coming back with what I think is the guy's tongue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he cuts his tongue out.
Yeah, and dunks it. And then we hear just staples, which
or
is
what sounds like might be a nail gun or
right,
something.
right.
Yeah.
And so we cut back and we see that he's got this crazy kind of mask, like
Yeah, he nailing
on
masks on
his
people's
face.
heads. Yeah.
Oh, and then he rolls him away. And then we are just kind of looking around the room, and then collector eye right in the hole.
Yeah, I called it and
You
it
did.
still scared me.
Yeah.
Todd and I were talking about the collector's eyes are just such a cool effect.
Yeah, I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
they do that because they look completely black and then sometimes they reflect like white.
They look like Vin Diesel's eyes from Pitch Black. that
Oh,
movie.
yeah, sort of. Yeah,
Yeah.
when he's not wearing the goggles.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is freaky. And it looks good with the mask. And I'm not crazy about the mask like you guys are, but I do like that combination.
It's the best mask
I,
in
thought-
horror.
I think it's a cool
I just
mask.
feel like it would be really hot.
Yeah.
I mean, I would counter with Jason's mask because I like
You would
that
counter
one the
with
best.
Potato sack?
No,
or you
like
would counter
the
with the
hockey
hockey
mask.
helmet that he
Yep.
stole off of a fucking prop comic from one of the movies?
Yeah, man.
Part 3.
Showed that prop comic what's boss, man. So now we are assembling the elite task force and we're in the task force room.
Yeah, the task force briefing room. Which
I
again,
know.
someone
I
had to
love
rent
it.
a space
Uh-huh.
because this isn't at the big fancy house.
I really enjoy these kinds of scenes because he's like, man, you gotta get in there. You're gonna wish you were dead if you don't kill him right away. And this is when we find out, because we're cutting to the elite task force assembly room, also the elite task force van on the way. So
Right.
we're finding out that these cut marks that Ark had made were not like, he wasn't self-harming. He was marking
Every 100 seconds he would do a mark, and then if he changed directions, he would do a different kind of mark.
Yeah, for left or right.
Right.
It's insane.
It really is.
His eyes are closed
Yeah.
in this van, and he's just like going through the motions on his arm where these cuts are, and then he's like, stop. And then,
Collaborate. We're here.
and then they look around and they're like, oh, hey, there's a creepy abandoned hotel here.
Right.
That must be the place.
Yes. And now, if I were to pick apart one thing in this movie, I do think that's a little far-fetched that he would have been able to mark that and keep track. But I don't care because this movie's a little insane.
And also, any town that has a creepy place that's like been abandoned
Exactly.
forever, that's the first place you're going to
But
look
this
for
isn't
this
just a
kind of
creepy
thing.
town. This is like a city. This is like Detroit.
So there's a lot of these around. Is
Well,
what
they
you're
said
saying?
there's like no one in like a 10-block radius.
We learn later that there are two people very close to this.
Uh-huh.
Very close to this place, yeah.
But they're not the kind of people society cares about, Todd.
yeah.
No, they're experiencing homelessness, and one of them experiences a leg injury.
Yeah. Elena reveals herself to be awesome because she has taken her bra off and taken
Yeah.
the under.
Mikey is on board for Elena.
She's taken the underwire out. She's like rigged it with some straps of her clothing to make like a hook.
No, it's the bra strap. It's like the hooks on her bra strap that she like uses.
Yeah.
And she does use the underwire part to like MacGyver a way to open one of the 90 latches that are on her trunk. And that one opens the entire trunk.
It does. Yeah, it's a miracle. But I also like that we don't spend 20 minutes of her trying to get out of this box.
Absolutely.
Yeah, talking about like advancing the plot.
And I like it's that she gets out of the box.
I do too.
It's not Arkin getting her out of the box or the collector getting out of the box and her getting away. She gets herself out. I like that.
She does. Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, I do really like her a lot. So now she's out, and this kind of like going back and forth. She sees another box, and she goes to open it up, and it's got a dead guy in it. And then she's starting to kind of look around, and there's a table with like hooks holding up some body parts. There's a bunch of terrible, gross stuff. And so then the collector comes in, and she hides behind a glass table. And I'm not sure how he didn't see through that glass, but
I think he did because he was just kind of messing with her.
Yeah,
'Cause it's
maybe.
like, time for elaborate plot number 48. I'm going to release a bunch of spiders to search for her that I've trained to look for people.
Exactly. Yeah. Or I think maybe he does know because they go straight to her and they crawl all over her face.
Yeah, I
and
think he was
it's-
just enjoying it.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, well, he disappeared to go jerk off for 20 minutes.
No, he's rock hard this entire movie. Yeah.
But he's got to dump that pressure off sometime. You got to concentrate. So Arkin is picking the locks outside because now the Elite Task Force has shown up.
Windows guy has like this big handgun, and then like Bubbles from The Wire has like an AR.
Yeah, and then there's Plaid Shirt guy who just kind of hopped a ride.
Yeah, and then there's guy that waits outside, and then there's the girl.
Yeah, SWAT lady is what I call
Yeah,
her.
SWAT lady.
Yeah, SWAT
Yeah.
lady.
Really three-dimensional characters.
Yeah. Well, some of them don't last very long.
No.
Like, yeah.
So Arkin's picking the lock and he gets them in, and then not so fast because Windows says, just kidding when I said you didn't have to go in and help us fight.
Right.
So now Arkin has to go in and help them find the collector because he's the only one who's been there and come out alive. So
He's like,
it's
oh,
just
come
like,
on, man. And he's
I
like,
know.
well, sorry, we got a bunch of guns.
Right. But it's
bad.
just like The Rock.
Oh, and like Arkin's Nick Cage? It is kind of
Wait,
like The
no,
Rock.
No,
Arkin is Sean Connery,
man.
Oh,
He
yeah.
gets, Come on, man. Come on. man.
So the collector knows they're there because he's got a system of like surveillance cameras all over the place.
Oh, and like
Yeah.
an alarm goes off when they pick the lock.
And he gets his collector mask on because now it's go time. All right, so now Elena is opening a grate and she's crawling through like this bloody goopy air tunnel or something, like an air
yeah?
duct. So Arkin walks in and they see a lot of syringes all over the ground. And then Army Man who's waiting outside gets collector stabbed a bunch of times.
Yeah, Todd was like, I thought he was going to die from a trap, but really, Collector just comes up and attacks him.
Yeah,
and
he just
stabs him a bunch
stabs
of
him
times.
like immediately.
Right. I mean, pretty lucky.
There are like some
Considering.
elaborate traps in this, but he just takes that first guy out immediately, which I sort
Right.
of like because I wasn't expecting it.
I wasn't either. Yeah.
I was
And-
expecting like an anvil to come down from the ceiling, like the roof.
Okay, so then they're walking in and they see all the syringes on the ground. And then what looks like one of the ghosts from 13 Ghosts with the really long hair jumps on him. And it's like he's getting zombie fought.
Yeah.
And then SWAT lady shoots this person in the head.
Right, like point blank in the dome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Todd's like, what is this, zombies?
I know. It did look like zombies. And I mean, I guess
It's
we
the Sunny
kind
D
of.
virus.
That's what it is.
Could
Come to
be.
life. They do explain this because
They do.
They sort of take the mask off that we saw the guy stapling or nailing into the guy's face, and he's just super high on drugs, and they're looking around, there's syringes all over the floor. So
So
like,
like their tongue's gone. And they're like,
He's been creating these like.
but no, he's creating like these killing machines.
Yeah.
They're not so much cannibals
would-
or zombies.
I
He's
don't
like,
want to
drugged
say
out
they're
scary
pets.
people.
Yeah.
They're like his little like pet
Minions.
they're
minions.
pets. They're pets because
Yeah.
he's collecting them.
Right. Well,
All
and so he said, so Arkin is saying if they don't do what he wants, he turns them into his dogs. And they say his tongue is chewed off, his pupils are blown, and he gives them a bunch of drugs. And we start to hear more. And so they all start running and they're breaking the chains on their legs and they're running towards them. And so some of them got shot by the Elite Task Force team, but then the SWAT team like backs up and then they close the door so they're safe.
Yeah.
And they're all like, what the fuck is going on?
I'd be like, well, I'm
outta
not
here.
going to stay here anymore.
yeah.
Right.
This was fun, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Is this when they realize they can't use their phone either? Their phone does not work?
Yes.
And it's not necessarily because, although they are saying things like, well, we're surrounded by whatever and we can't get signal. One of them actually says, I bet he's got a jammer.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, I mean, those things exist. Like,
They do. Okay, so she gets into a grate and she opens up and she's in another room and she sees a bunch of makeup. And there's a woman who's asking to be let out. And she goes over and she sees a purple and yellow trunk.
yes.
And so she opens the door and there's a lady in there with a lot of makeup on, like somebody else who doesn't know how to apply makeup did this makeup. It's more than a normal.
Well, in fact, she says he did this to me.
Yeah.
She does say that. Yeah. And
this is Miss Collector, though.
It is Miss
Whether
Collector.
she wants to be or not.
Yes.
Which I personally think she doesn't.
It's clearly like Stockholm Syndrome.
100%.
Yes.
She is Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
100%,
like
guys.
3 months later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once the trunks get delivered from Amazon.
Most of the rose petals have fallen.
Yeah, what you guys don't realize is Gaston is the hero in that movie. The hero loses and the Beast wins.
But so she's saying, so he did she's going to like wipe her makeup off, and she's saying she doesn't want to leave this room, which I think we can tell she's like super traumatized.
Probably because she knows that room is sort of safe.
She's safe right there.
Yeah.
And we also see she has not really been physically injured, or at least
That's
not
true.
visibly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she seems to have some kind of position of status in this collection.
Yeah, she
you
like
know?
whispers like, I'm his favorite.
Right, exactly. Which, and I mean, if you're trapped in that situation, I could understand wanting to stay there. You know, it would be fucked up.
I'm sure that she's had to do some horrible things.
But thank God
Exactly.
none of that's shown in the movie.
No, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
we don't have to see that. All right, so now back to the army team, and they're seeing a bunch of empty trunks with blood in them, and then a man starts walking down the hall, and
I think it's the ex-boyfriend.
boyfriend?
Yeah.
He's got like cuts on his chest, and he's got like, it looks like there's a cut on his neck, but what we're gonna find out is it's a string around
I
his
thought it was a
neck.
cut too.
Yeah, and he's saying he didn't make the collection.
So this is why I didn't think it was the boyfriend, because that person has lost his mind.
Yeah.
And I think it would take longer for you to be in a state where you would lose your mind that much. It may have been the same actor for budgetary reasons.
Right.
But it doesn't make sense for me for it to have been the boyfriend.
I
It may
agree.
very well have been.
He
but-
also seems to understand more about what the collection is
Yes,
than
right?
Elena does.
Right.
Although she could have just been in the box. But yeah, it doesn't make sense that he would be in that state yet.
I think the collector just explained everything to him.
He's like, here's my collection. Maybe he showed him the collection.
He does talk at the end, so he does talk to the people.
He like 1960 James Bond villain style explained
Yeah.
what was
Right.
going on to that one
I haven't talked to
specific
anybody
dude.
in weeks.
Oh God,
Right.
I've got to dish.
This is my collection.
And listen, it is
I don't know.
super difficult to set all this up.
Maybe he thought this guy would be able to help him.
Oh, yeah, he fired him.
I'm going to fuck you up because you're not in the collection.
Right. And
Right.
honestly, the guy had a rough time with it and it blew his mind.
Oh, well, speaking of, so he's talking to them, and then we see that there's a bomb on the back of his neck.
Just like he stabbed Elaine in the back by cheating on her.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
If he didn't cheat or take that girl to the club, he
He'd
wouldn't
still be alive.
he would-
Absolutely.
I mean,
Exactly.
the collector is a romantic.
Although Elena would be dead because that's what drove her
That's
upstairs
true.
away from the thresher.
I think the collector's like the Phantom of the Opera, and he fell in love with Elena.
He
and
does
just wanted
really
to-
like masks.
He does. They cut out a whole scene where he plays the organ.
Right. And
You
he
know.
talks about the music of the night. It's
He
like a
He
whole
does
thing.
play
Love the music of the
organs,
night.
but they're human.
Yeah. Not nearly as musical.
Oh, man. Christine. He's just trying to find his Christine, Jen.
He is. Aren't we
Actually,
all?
he does have a Christine,
He
and
does. Mm-hmm.
she's the one in the yellow box who had the crazy makeup on.
Yeah.
This is real sad.
I know, man. So there's a bomb on the back of his neck, and he blows up.
Well, and almost kills Windows.
Right. Yeah,
And
yeah.
Windows sort of realizes what's going on,
He's able
and
to
this is the
reboot himself.
first time. Yeah, he like runs away from a bomb.
Yes. But not so fast. This somehow sets off a series of gigantic spikes that come shooting down from the ceiling.
And this guy's name is Dre. I saw it in the credits when
Dre?
they were doing all the kills
yeah.
again. I was like, oh, he had a name.
Aw.
So Dre gets 3 spikes through him.
Yeah.
Shish kebab, really.
And he's Flannel Man.
Yes.
Yes, flannel shirt who didn't get the memo about what the Elite Task
Yeah,
Force was
everyone in
wearing
the
that
Elite
day.
Task Force is wearing black. And he's just like, no, man, I really wanted to channel Eddie Vedder for this
Right.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I promised them I'd never put the black on again.
Right.
Yellow flannel, please.
He's
Yeah.
kind of a loose cannon Elite
that's
Task
what
Force
it is.
member.
Oh,
we have to make
man.
our own backstories up.
I really do like the fact that he's just like a huge Pearl Jam fan.
Yeah.
Stab me through the roof just now. Yeah. He took 3 big spikes and they went through my body. Yeah.
Nice.
That was good. That was really good.
Anyway, he's wearing flannel.
Right. Yeah. Well, he's from Seattle. You know,
That's what it
you
is.
got to represent.
That's what it is.
Okay. So
Arkin sneaks off. He's like, I'll use this time because that guy got impaled. Just
Yeah.
gotta get out of here.
That guy got nailed.
because I don't trust any of these people.
But he does. He gets away from him.
Yeah, and he goes through the Star Wars squishy wall.
It is really just two close walls with nails sticking through
Right,
it.
right.
Yeah.
But I thought it was gonna like trash.
I thought
squish.
it was gonna like smash
Which is,
quickly.
this is
Yeah.
where I would die in the movie because I'd be like, oh.
Wish I had lost some weight.
Yep.
I wish I did not gain that Corona 19
Yeah.
while in isolation.
Ooh, quarantine inches. I would just have scrapes on my belly.
So Arkin gets away through the squishy wall, as you were saying, which is the wall with the nails in it.
Yeah.
And then he goes into a room that is like just like one flickering bulb light with like
a
a moth.
gigantic picture of a beetle on the wall.
Yes.
That's terrible.
Oh, well, there's a bunch of other shit too, and I think
Yeah.
this is when he realizes that the collector is an entomologist.
Licensed
Thank you.
entomologist.
Yeah, because that's what he's learning there. But while this is
Right.
happening, I fucking hated this
Yeah,
because
man.
this is like nightmare fuel for me because it's flashing lights, sort of like a like a strobe light you can't predict, right?
right.
Right.
And then we see Arkin looking at the wall. So we're seeing over his shoulder. And then we see the collector popping up in these flashes of light.
But then
I
Arkin's
know.
like, oh, I sense him.
I
Yes.
sense a disturbance in the collection.
So it goes dark, and then he vanishes, and then it's us looking over the collector's shoulder.
I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Turnabout.
Because I loved it because I was scared. I was like, oh my God, this is freaky. He could be
Collector's gonna
anywhere.
get him.
And then, yeah, we see the collector where Arkin was, and his eyes are like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then Arkin's just like, poof, gone.
Yeah.
And then he fake opens a door, and collector
Yeah.
runs after him.
Yeah.
So now we're back with Elena and the blonde girl, and they're walking out into the hallway, and she stops Elena from crossing a tripwire, and then we see a
Yeah.
gigantic bear trap. And man, Collector goes all in because these are the biggest
Yes.
bear traps I've ever seen.
This is when Todd pointed out that I would never live if I was like living at the collector's house. Like if that was
Yeah,
my
like if
house.
you were the collector and you would set up all these traps, like you're too clumsy to even like know
true.
where all the traps are. You would definitely trip over one of them and you die.
I almost die now. I'm so clumsy.
That's
in my
true.
house that doesn't have death trap, bear traps, or whatever.
It's just like, oh my God, that coffee table almost killed me.
I'm like, where'd that step come from? I've lived here 3 years.
So now Elena's hearing aid is starting to go off, and the blonde girl sees it. And I don't know if she's realizing that Elena might not be like this. She's freaking out. She's thinking,
Oh,
the
so you're not gonna
collector-
make. She goes, you're not gonna make it. You're not
right,
gonna make
right. He's testing me again.
Yeah.
Which it kind of alludes to a little bit of her state of mind,
Yeah,
you know.
and Christine, the blonde-haired girl, like freaks out and sort of was like, I can't help you, I can't help you.
Yeah.
And this is when we see the collector walk around the corner and Christine just like drops to the floor.
Yeah, and she's saying you'll never win. You'll
Yeah.
never win. Yeah.
And then Elena runs away and the collector walks up next to Christine on the floor and looks at her and then keeps going to chase Elena.
And so Elena gets a scalpel, and
Right.
she gets up into the ceiling grates, and so she's like got the scalpel in her teeth.
She's a badass,
She
man.
is,
Yeah,
I
man.
love it.
And she's right on top of him, but I think he hears her.
He does, but he
Yes.
also hears Arkin.
Uh-huh.
And I think also the army team or the elite squad or
Yeah.
whatever. So there's just too much going on.
Right.
But all those distractions gives Elena enough time to go out the grate that's behind the pipes. Because as the collector sort of picks himself up to look there, she's now gone. But the pipe or the grate is off the wall. So
Right.
she clearly went through them.
He's like, great. I'll just let her go.
Son of a yeah, exactly.
So Arkin gets door stabbed through the hand, and I'm not exactly sure how that happened.
No, he's like trying to open doors or whatever. Some of them are locked, some of them he can't get through, and he's not looking at the doorknob, and it's not a doorknob, it's just a knife.
Oh,
So he
geez.
grabs the knife and it like cuts his hand.
Ugh.
I hated that moment. It's so,
Oh, it's so
gross.
stupid. I'm like,
yeah.
Arkin, don't get lazy.
Yeah, come on, man. Focus, Arkin.
Well, but he does because he almost trips a tripwire and gets like bear trapped.
Well, it's the bear
caught.
trap that Christine stopped Elena from running into. Yeah.
Right. And so then he sees one of the army men and he's trying to hide from them. And it's the guy from The Wire, I think.
Yeah, he gets in the
like
laundry chute.
it's like
or
an
whatever.
elevator shaft
Trash
or
chute, yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he looks
It's
down.
a body shoot, guys.
It
There's a
is.
bunch
Oh,
of
yeah.
bodies
Yeah, that's
down
true.
there. Yeah.
But like all cut up, gross, bloody
Yes.
bodies.
You can't put a full body down the trash chute.
Yeah, come
Oh,
on,
that's
Jen.
true. You
Bad
got to cut
form.
part of it off.
Yeah.
But this is where we learn that whole area is filled with gasoline.
Yes.
Because Arkin goes down there, he sees the bodies, obviously, which is real gross, but he also sees the gas canisters there.
Yeah.
Right. And he goes into some kind of bug room as part of the collector's, like where he collects all of his bug sculptures or whatever.
He is a hoarder.
Yeah.
He really is, yeah.
But so he's looking at pictures of bugs and turtles, and then he sees something that like terrifies him, and then it cuts back to Elena. and her hearing aid keeps feeding back, and she gets down into like a bear trap hallway where they're just like
A hallway full of bear traps, just
Yeah,
like we're
that's-
talking
it
about.
is
your
what it is.
classic bear trap hallway.
But she sort of swats at her ear because it's doing like the feedback thing that you see in A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
But as she's doing that, trying to mess with the settings, maybe it like flies out of her ear and lands on a bear trap
right.
Right in the middle.
right in the middle where the pressure plate is, and
Right.
it doesn't go off.
Right.
So she thinks, I probably need that, even though she can definitely hear it to the other ear. She reaches in and tries to grab it, and as she pulls it off, like it snaps really close, but does not get her.
That would have sucked if she'd gotten killed, because then she just would have died right there. You know.
Or her arm would have.
She'd be like that lady from Tiger King.
The collector has to run to the closet to put on his paramedic jacket first before he goes to help her.
The collector's never going to financially recover from this.
Oh, Saf.
Yeah,
Oh,
Saf.
Fuck. But she was back at work that next week. 'Cause
Saf is
everything's
like one of
fucked
the
up.
only people I like in that documentary.
Oh, yeah.
Saf and the guy who made sure the tigers were okay when Tiger King was losing his shit.
Right.
Like the zoo manager or whatever. I forget his name.
Okay, so now Arkin is back and he's seeing glass cases, like gigantic vats of like body parts sewn together
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
skeleton bones, like in these crazy sculptures, you know?
Yeah.
It's real weird.
But not like a regular body shape.
Right, it's like the Thing body
Yes.
shape.
Like he's
He's taking a bunch
multiple-
of bodies
yes.
and sewn them
and just
together.
Absolutely.
fucking around with
Yeah.
it.
He's just getting creative.
Well, yeah, but he sees, and this is one of the things that really disturbed me. He sees a girl or a woman who's like nailed to the wall, and she's got like these gigantic nails through her hands and her wrists and her knees.
Yeah, the collector definitely nailed her.
Ugh. But it's really, and she's alive and awake, and she's
And
like,
she's saying, help me.
help me.
Help me.
And I mean, if I were Arkin, I would be like, dude, I don't even know where to start with this. Like, I don't have a gigantic hammer.
I do think
You can't save her.
I do think Arkin is looking for a way to save her and
Yeah.
would have done whatever he could. I'm not sure he could have saved her, but he would
Right.
have done whatever he could had the collector not come right
Yes.
then. Arkin goes around like the wall and she's still saying, help me, as the collector walks up and he's just like, listen, I don't have time for this. And
Right.
he slashes her throat.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot you were here.
Yeah.
He's got so many side projects
does.
going
He
on.
does, yeah.
Yeah, he needs to focus.
He's a guy who like loves starting a project but has trouble finishing them. So he has like 90 unfinished projects around his house.
Right.
I forgot I nailed a person to this wall.
Yeah,
Ugh.
man. What was I going to do with this?
Oh my God.
All right, but so he just slashes her throat
Yeah.
and she dies. But one of the things that I think is interesting about this movie is we keep coming across all of these different kinds of fucked up things, and we don't spend very much time with any one of them. So it's like constantly being surprised at how fucked up the collector is. But towards the end, I did get a little bit like exhausted by it. I was like, how
Yeah, like, we
many
get
fucked
it.
up things are in
We
this
Yeah,
get it.
I
collection?
get it. Yeah.
You know?
That's how you are. Like at the beginning of the day, you go to the museum. It's like super
Yeah.
exciting, and then like 3 hours later, you're like, all right, I'm about
Yep.
done with museuming.
But that's why you take the guided tour, that your earphone
Well,
tour.
that's they broke in. They didn't get the collector's guided
Do you
tour.
think that's why she wanted to save her earpiece from
Yeah,
the
she was
bear
trying to
trap?
save the earpiece so she could still get that guided tour.
Right.
The collector's like, up next is the bear trap hallway.
She just
These bear traps, they're from Abraham Lincoln's log cabin.
yeah.
Oh, it fell out. Oh my God, this is
Davy
getting so
Crockett
interesting.
I wanted to
there.
hear how he got his hands on those Abraham Lincoln log cabin bear traps.
Now she'll never know.
No, she grabbed it. She got
Oh,
it. She's
okay.
fine.
Phew.
Yeah.
And Argus, the guy, just wandering out of museum, like, what is all this shit?
Right, exactly. He didn't even want to go. He just wanted to wait outside of the gift shop.
Right,
That's what it was,
exactly.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I get it. Okay, so Elena is walking up the hallway. Arkin is up the stairs. So Elena gets to a room with like creepy goth wallpaper covering all of the windows.
Yes.
And
This is
she-
when she looks out and sees the two homeless guys
Yes,
by the.
people experiencing homelessness.
Well, she hears air behind the wallpaper and pulls it down.
Yeah, and this is when she sees the two guys experiencing homelessness.
And honestly,
Yes.
we're assuming they're experiencing homelessness. They could
Homelessness.
just be trash can fire enthusiasts.
Yeah, absolutely.
'Cause, you know,
I don't know. I feel like they're probably homelessmen.
Yeah.
And she tries to yell at them. She's like, hey, this is a long story, but really, there's hundreds of people in here.
right.
Trapped by a serial killer.
Have you seen the first movie?
Have you not heard the 50 gunshots that have already gone off?
But so they don't hear because they're
Right.
enthralled by the righteous fire that they just built. Okay, and so
pretty rad.
Arkin is now getting to the art gallery exhibit.
Which is like real fucked up classical literature.
So now so he gets got from behind by
Right.
the wire guy, and SWAT team is there now. But not so fast. He sees the collector lurking in the rafters, singing
hook. He's-
music of the night.
Todd said he's a fisher of men.
Yeah,
He is. Yeah,
Because
yeah.
he goes fishing and catches the guy from the wire.
Yeah,
Bubbles.
like through the neck chin jaw.
And he uses him as a counterweight to slowly dip into the room, and then he starts fighting everybody
Which is
else.
smooth.
It's a real power
Oh,
move.
it is dope as fuck. This guy is smooth. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a very Phantom of the Opera-esque move, though.
It is.
It's
and
just
I love
not,
Phantom of
he's
the
just
Opera.
not using a chandelier. He's using the guy from The Wire.
I mean, he wears a mask.
Yeah.
The girl SWAT lady.
Lady SWAT.
Lady SWAT.
She gets got up.
I like how she had to correct you.
Yes.
She gets collected upside down and then
Yeah,
Just
she like
threw
hits
scared
her.
it away.
It's
yeah.
insane.
It is, and how terrifying would that be?
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
terrifying.
Although I thought she was going to get collected away and then cut in half immediately.
Me too,
so
but she doesn't.
Could be a lot
Right.
worse. Yeah. And then the door shuts behind her or something. And then Arkin is talking to Windows guy.
Well, because the collector then uses the counterweight again to get out of there.
Right.
And then they have a moment of safety. So they talk to Windows.
Right. And
Arkin's
the,
he's picking us off one by one. We need to
Stick together.
Yeah.
we need to actually team up and maybe not treat me like shit.
Yeah. Maybe give me something to defend myself that's not a flashlight.
exactly.
He's like, no, sir.
No,
Whatever.
sorry.
I'm the SWAT team here.
So now blonde girl is there though, Christine, and she's saying, "I know where she is." Because they still need to rescue Elena.
Right.
Yeah. And they're saying, okay, well, we can help you get out of here too. And they hear SWAT girl screaming, SWAT lady screaming. So they're going to go investigate that. But blonde girl Christine is like, no, that's not where we want to go. And so we see SWAT lady, the collector is with her, and we don't really get a good idea of what's going on, but we see a net
razor blade
and
with
razor
blades on
blades.
it.
And we hear
Yeah.
her screaming, and we hear the sounds of her getting cut, although it's unclear whether that actually ever happens, because when we see her
She seems
later,
pretty cool later. Yeah.
she's not
Spoiler
super
alert.
cut up. Yeah.
But I mean, she is in a razor blade net. So if
She
she moves
is.
a lot, she would get cut up. I think she's
Exactly.
just pretty smart about how to handle
I
it.
think so too. I like SWAT lady. I wish I knew her name. Now they're in this creepy, awful room with a bunch of mannequins with bloody heads or bloody wigs
Yeah.
on them. Yeah,
And
yeah.
you hear the screaming down the hall,
Uh-huh.
and Arkin's like, maybe we should just not do this.
Yeah, let's just stay where we are right here and not escalate the situation. But Windows has got to go bust through all the plastic curtains to try
Right.
to find SWAT lady.
Because he's trying to, that's like his partner.
Exactly.
Or
Yeah.
teammate
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever.
I mean, I'm not saying any of them are in the wrong.
Sure.
But Collector has clearly got the upper hand in this
Yeah.
situation. Yeah. Because as he's busting through all of these things, we find out that it was a
ruse.
It was a ruse, a
Right.
clever ruse.
There's a speaker. And he's
Yeah.
like, I've been bamboozled.
I did like that there was a dead body there.
Yeah.
But it was
It
just,
was the other guy that we forgot to mention also got murdered.
oh, yeah, that's right.
Well, and it's got a bomb on him too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and he's not the only one that has a bomb on him, because as the bombs start to go off, and Arkin sort of sees the wire of the bombs going down towards where he went. So he's like, Windows! Get him
Right.
away from there!
But Arkin
Yeah.
also was like, that's a two-way mirror door. And
Yeah.
he kicks it down.
Yeah.
Right, Piper style.
And he's seeing the tripwire. And we're also hearing on the speaker that Elena has found SWAT lady.
And is
Oh, yeah.
saving her, yeah. But
Yeah.
Windows runs out of that hallway with the bombs and does not die. And because
Right.
we have Roddy Piper, the two-way mirror open, he goes out that way as well. And so they're all safe from the explosions.
right.
It was a pretty cool slow motion
It was cool, yeah.
running down a hallway as mannequins blow up one by one.
Now they have jumped away from the bomb. And
Yes.
they have all our Scooby Gang is now together, which is good. They're together pretty much for the rest of the movie, I think.
Yeah.
And because Elena has found SWAT lady and freed her, now they don't have to look for anybody, and now they can just try to get
Yeah,
out.
there's a heartfelt reunion between Windows and Elena.
Yeah, and it is sweet.
It
so we've
is.
got Christine, the blonde girl with the makeup. We've got Elena. We've got Windows. We've got Arkin, and we've got SWAT lady.
Can I say Arkin or Raul?
Raul. That's
Yeah.
his name.
I like Arkin better.
I think Arkin's a great character, and
But
we
in our
know
f-
Arkin's name. But if
Yeah.
we're going with the
The
Phantom of the Opera parable, he would be Raul.
So now they're going into the goth wallpaper room, and they're looking out.
Yeah,
at,
Elena's like, I know a way out. Y'all
Yeah.
follow me.
They're
We're all
looking
like,
at the
"Oh, cool."
dumpster fire enthusiasts, And he's like,
And Arkin's like, I can get us out of here, but you got to give me your gun. How many
Yeah.
shots you got left? He's like, I only got 2 shots left.
and you
I was like,
can't have him.
perfect.
He's like, that's all I need. Give me your gun. And he's like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want it. When are you going to trust me? I sort of wanted Windows to be like, just tell me your plan. And Arkin being like, I don't think I'm going to tell you my plan
Yeah.
because it's insane.
Yeah.
Right. And you have tried to kill me
I
a
like how
couple
the other
of
three
times.
people in this group just don't even join the conversation. They're like,
Right.
I have no
Well-
dogs in this fight.
Yeah,
so like,
exactly.
whoever wants the gun, take it.
Well, it's the two like alpha men, and they're like, yeah, we'll just let them fight it out. We'll figure it out.
yeah.
But Elena has said, I don't trust Christine,
Right.
who's the blonde girl.
Yes.
So
Arkin gets
Arkin's
the gun
plan.
and he goes up and shoots the homeless guy in the leg.
He turns the windows and he goes, shots fired gets attention.
Right.
So when it gets shot, you get a response.
Yeah.
And I was
Right.
like, that's a badass line.
I mean, it is. It's also very mean to shoot a guy experiencing homelessness.
I know, man.
in the butt.
I thought it was like in the leg.
Oh, whatever. We'll just.
What is the butt if not the high leg?
So then
It's like the mane of the leg.
Exactly. Exactly,
And then
guys.
it's like cuts to like 20 minutes later because it's like 3 police cars, an ambulance. They're loading the homeless guy, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Wait for it."
Mhm.
Boom.
Pew.
Like almost kills a cop, and he's
And
like,
then we
Right.
hear shots fired. We're going to need backup here.
and then like the
immediately.
collector was watching the whole time. He's like, "Oh fuck, that's what they were doing."
Right.
And he literally is like, damn it.
Now
yeah,
I
you can tell in
gotta
his
take
face.
it.
He's
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
mad. Yeah, and like everybody starts. They're like, "We need people out here now." It's a great plan. I bet y'all didn't see that coming.
I didn't.
honestly did not.
I mean, honestly, I wasn't really trying to second guess this movie because it just kept going from disturbing thing to disturbing thing, and I was kind of just along for the ride, you know?
Well, I kind of like this because it's like, okay, the police are actually coming to help. It's not like some weird thing.
Right,
Like, how'd the
exactly.
police know?
And like the very final thing is not they finally get a signal on their cell phone and get
Right.
the call
Right.
through. Yeah. I do like that the polices are already there. The polices. But what I did, the one thing I did call was that the blonde girl, Christine, was going to betray them, you know?
Yes, I think that's pretty set up pretty well.
I think so
Yeah.
too. Yeah. And I mean, from her point of view, I don't know if I would do anything different. You know, she is clearly traumatized.
Yeah, I don't think what she does is her
You
fault.
I
can't
don't
judge
either.
her, but like she waits to betray them until they start like winning. Like the police are definitely coming down. She's like,
Right.
oh, I better betray them now.
Well,
Right.
she 100% has Stockholm syndrome. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I sort of do buy what she does.
I do too.
It's very sad,
Mhm.
but it's not her fault.
Yeah. And it's believable too.
It is,
you
yeah.
know? Yeah.
And then she steps on 3 nails,
Uh-huh.
and then that springs a trap that then
Ugh.
squishes her body to death.
Yeah, dude, and it's like a giant like bear trap, only like a closet bear trap.
Yeah, and it
like
closes around her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and we see like the blood squish out.
It's real
Ugh,
gross.
It is
Yes.
really sad. But so she has alerted the collector to where they are too.
Yes, and we
Yeah.
get this like Rambo montage scene of the collector getting a gun.
It's got Bubbles' rifle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the AR that Bubbles had, and then he gets his 2 dogs, and then he kicks open the door to the room they're in. It's like backlit, and he's just
Right.
like, go, 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 go. It's like
And the dogs
slow-mo.
attack, yeah.
I know, it's insane. It is
This
like
scene's
a
well
Rambo
shot.
moment. I think so
Right.
too, yeah. But the dogs sort of attack him. Arkin stops the bite from going on him with his cast, which I
Yes.
thought was a baller move.
Oh, then Argan like uses the dog as a bullet shield.
Yeah.
The dog gets shot.
And also stabs the dog.
oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then you hear the click of the AR running out of bullets, and then they start like fighting.
Right. And then collector grabs Elena and
Yes.
drags her out of the room and closes the door. Yeah.
Oh, that's right, that's right. And then we sort of cut to Windows, who's on the ground.
Yeah,
and you
and-
see his hand is through the same type of 3 nails that sprung the trap on Christine.
Right.
and then we see this big ass bear trap sort of slowly falling down towards the floor.
It's like a chandelier just waiting to fall on the front row of the audience.
And he
It
turns
is.
to Argan and he's like, "You gotta save her. You
Yeah.
gotta save Elena."
Get on out of here. Yeah, and he has to
Get-
be mean to him
Yeah.
so that
Get
they
outta
don't
here.
He's like, "I
want
want to help you."
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
"No, get."
No, my time is over, boys.
I do like that the scene ends with him like using his foot to like bring over one of the dead dogs.
Yeah.
And then when he comes back, which we'll get to when he gets there, I love that.
I do
love
kind
that
of wonder
part.
how he got out of that jam.
I can tell you
know?
right now how we got out of that jam.
Because the head was still attached.
Oh,
Yeah.
ooh.
So he used the dog to trigger the trap, and then he just wiggled his way out from under the trap.
Aw.
I like that though, because we
No,
don't
I do
see it,
too.
Right.
but it makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I like that.
All right.
And SWAT lady's like, "Man, I got nothing to say about this. Let's just move on to the
I
next
know.
Yeah,
scene."
sucks to be you, boss.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, what are you going to do? He was real mean to them
What
so
you're
that they
gonna
would
do
run
is
away.
take that reward.
Well, that's true. Well, so
That no one talks about. I'm like, what is this? Like the old guy's like accounting department. He's like, this is why we went to special ops training in case the boss's daughter gets kidnapped.
Yeah.
This is the weekend. Strap up. Wear your black.
Exactly.
Todd, why are you in yellow flannel?
His name is Dre. His name was Dre.
Dre, why are you in yellow flannel and not in black?
He's
you know
normally-
what happens.
Yeah.
So now we cut to Elena, and she's like trapped on a table, and they go over and they free her. But it was a trap, and
Yes,
now they're
the whole
all
time.
locked in a cage.
Yeah.
And I expected it to be another squishy cage.
It was not, but I
it
did
was
too.
not. Yeah. But what we see right next to him, there are giant vats of like flammable shit. And Collector has a Zippo. And so Arkin, he goes up and he looks at them and they're like staring each other down. And Arkin's trying to kind of like taunt him like he did in the first movie, Not saying problematic words this time, but he's got a Zippo. And
He's like, come on in here, you bitch.
Right.
So, I mean, Arkin's making a calculated thing of like, he's got some fragile masculinity.
But I do love that he doesn't fall for it. Like the Collector's sort of cool-headed.
Right. And so he walks over to a super long fuse that's next to the flammable barrel.
But this is, again, like a 1960s James Bond villain.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't want to
See?
watch them die. Although I will
Right.
say the trap isn't explosive, so he's got to give himself enough
Exactly.
time to get away. But it does sort of have that vibe to it.
Yeah, and so he lights the fuse,
Oh my
and then
God.
he pieces out.
How they get out of this,
Oh, dude.
this is my
grossed me
least
out.
favorite part of the movie.
I didn't watch this part.
because Arkin, they're like trying to use the knife to
Yeah.
like jerry the door open, and they drop the knife.
Drop the knife.
So Arkin's like, ugh, all right, I got this, ladies.
Right.
And he breaks the cast that's around his arm,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, he sticks his arm through the gate or like the cage.
Mm-hmm.
Someone stomp on my arm and re-break it. And everybody's like, oh.
No, what the fuck?
But they do because it's that or die. So they
And
do.
what I liked is like, he's like, somebody, Elena, SWAT lady. And
Anybody,
then SWAT lady's
please.
like, oh, I can't do it.
And
Who
Elena's
does
like,
it?
I got this. Then he uses that
And it's
broken arm.
Very graphic
And
and terrible.
it's really even more graphic when they show it the second time.
Ugh.
And this is when you guys looked away and I kept looking.
Mm-hmm.
He put his arm through it and then you see the skin sort of stretch and the bone push
Yeah.
against the skin. And he uses it to open the door.
Yeah.
Oh,
to
it's so gross.
And SWAT lady's like, we're going to
Yeah, SWAT lady's like, we're going to reset your arm once they get out of it. They're
Yeah.
going to take 30 seconds to reset his arm when the thing's about to blow up.
Right. But I mean, he needed that arm reset
Yeah, I
for the
mean,
fight scene
That's
later.
true. That is
you know.
true. Where his arm is magically fine.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right.
but it's because she made a sling for him.
That
and
is.
that
She did make a sling.
healed the arm.
And he wore that sling for at least 25 seconds.
He did, yeah. So meanwhile, Collector has been lighting, like spreading gasoline all over the place.
Yeah, he's real pissed that his whole.
that he's got to burn his whole building
Yeah,
down.
he's like, ugh.
My collection.
I mean, but he actually does react like I think you would react. The
I think so,
cops are
too.
swarming the place. He's going to destroy as much evidence as possible and
Yeah.
bone the fuck out.
The jig is up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to get out of there.
He's like, this place is haunted. We're going to burn it down and move on.
And I like that the cops are already here. And so
Yes.
now the obstacle is the cops getting in and them
Yes,
getting out.
Smoke comes out. And they're like, we got to call the fire department now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the fuse gets to one of the flammables and it explodes. So the cops are outside and they're in the giant science vat room with all the crazy
Which has the
things.
front door of the hotel right there.
Yes.
Well, that's the collection. Like,
It's
that
the
is the
foyer.
collection room with
Yeah,
all
that's-
the crazy, like, put together strange body part
yeah.
things.
That's where you have the banquet when
Right.
you're like fundraising
Yeah,
night.
but he actually rents that space out for proms.
Yeah. So now the collector is there. And he goes and he stabs SWAT lady, double stabs her in the back, and then she
Yeah.
just kind of dies. Which, I mean, I feel like she could have gotten a cooler death, you know?
She could have
Although-
gotten a cooler death. I understand why she dies this way because he's like about to leave. Like he's trying to get out and
Right.
he wants to kill all of them quickly.
Exactly.
So I understand that, but you're right. I do think her character deserved a very cool death.
Yeah.
I do think it was cool that she lived this long though.
I do
Yeah.
too, yeah. And like her death provides, well, we'll get there.
Yeah.
So because Collector is about to stab Arkin, but then there's a dog's head.
Well,
on
I
he,
love
he
that.
beats Elena and Arkin up and throws them around
right.
first.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
he's-
Arkin's like on the ground. I would assume passed out. So is Elena.
Well, Arkin's not passed out, but he's like dazed.
Oh, that's
and he's
right.
looking
well,
up.
his
and
arm
then
hurts a lot.
The collector has a knife. He's about to stab Arkin.
And then you see a dog head go
Uh-huh.
into the shot.
The collector's
Right.
like, "Roop."
Yeah.
So now Windows is back.
Yes.
Windows and Collector are fighting mano a mano.
Well, first he looks down at dead SWAT lady, pulls the knife out of her, and
Yep.
he's like, knifey knife.
Well, because she got stabbed twice.
And he left one,
Yeah, and he left one. So he gets the other one, and now they're both fighting with knives.
Right. Yeah.
which is
and
a pretty cool knife
I
fight.
thought it was
it
cool as
is,
shit.
yeah. So now Windows gets stabbed, and as he's dying, he says, "Get him, Arkin."
Yeah.
Yeah.
What he should have said is, get off your ass, Arkin.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah, your
the
arm
two of them
hurts.
together could have killed the Collector immediately.
Right, yeah. And Elena could have gotten in
He's
on the
taking
action.
some.
I mean, I get it. He's taken some beatings, but he does then get up and kick the Collector's ass.
He does, yeah. We got
So-
an Arkin apologist over
Yeah.
here. All right. But so now Arkin gets up and his arm is healed and the room is on fire and
right.
Arkin stabs the Collector. And I love the Collector stabs Arkin through the fucking cheek,
That was
man.
brutal and
It
unexpected
was.
for sure.
Mhm. And
That just makes Arkin mad. And I think this is what heals his arm. Because at
I
first
think
he
it
just
is.
holds him down with the bad arm and then
my
is
God.
beating him with the other hand, then gets stabbed. Then he's
Yeah.
like, superpowers.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and so Elena's banging on the door and the firemen are hearing and Arkin is fighting by the fire. And I do like this fight scene. Like for a horror movie fight scene, I think the stakes are really high and it's done really well. And so Arkin ends up pushing him down into the body pit and he takes a fuse and he lights it on fire and throws it
Yeah.
down.
A
And
sheet.
A sheet. Yeah.
And you see the fire catch
Light-
the Collector on fire as well as all the bodies and everything around him.
Right. And so now the firemen are there. So they're saved, but not so fast because a giant flaming beam falls down, blocking Arkin and the door. And so Arkin's like, well, fuck, I'm dead now. And my arm really hurts and
Yeah.
I'm tired and I got
like how-
stabbed in the face. So,
But he's like, my family's safe.
exactly.
So
Well,
he just kneels and looks at Elena.
Yeah.
That's why I think he was okay to give up because he
That's what
thought
I-
his family was
That's
safe.
what I
Right.
think too.
And he was pretty fucked up. So,
Oh, yeah.
whatever, I'll just go out like this, having known I saved my family.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
and Elena, assuming too.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked at her. He sees at the door, but
Right.
He's
Well,
like,
and so unlike Arkin at the beginning, Elena does try to save Arkin, which I'm not saying Arkin was wrong to not try to save Elena at the very beginning, but I do think that's kind of mirroring the choice.
Agreed.
You know, is she takes a giant curtain rod or something and she starts smashing all of the big vats of creepy fucked up statues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Releasing tons of liquid into the room, which puts out the fire enough for Arkin to make it to the door.
no, she goes and picks him up.
Right, and pulls him over
Yeah.
to the door, which I thought would be kind of interesting if whatever that goo was flammable and it
They
just
all just die.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, well, nice try, but
Oh, my
you
God,
know.
yeah.
But it's not. It puts out the flames. And so then the door gets broken down by firemen and we just see mist, but they are both standing at the door and they're both safe. So now they're out and they're sitting in an ambulance and they're both like, yeah, this is fucked up, right? Then we see Shooter McGavin and he's there and
Yeah.
Elena can hug.
I do think they have a good relationship.
I do too. Yeah.
And now I think Arkin's going to be pretty set up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
we'll see in the sequel, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So they're hugging, and then Arkin sees a bunch of the chests.
Yes,
that-
and the police are like, well, we're still trying to get a tally of the bodies. and all sorts of
Exactly.
stuff.
Yeah. And we see on the last one, there's a burning collector mask
Yeah.
inside the chest. Dun dun
And
dun.
Arkin's like, oh, he curses
Oh,
the heavens as
fuck.
the camera pans out.
Uh-huh.
And you think that's the movie, but
Yeah.
it's not.
Now we're in a happy house.
Yes, we are.
And a happy house with bug decorations and a weird table hand thing. And I thought this was going to be Arkin's house at first. And then we start to see the bugs and somebody walks in and we're hearing them talk about on the radio about somebody who slaughtered his whole family and was a taxidermist and sat down with them.
Yeah, I'll tell you the
Yeah.
story. Yeah, he's a museum curator
Okay.
who slaughtered his whole family and set them up for Thanksgiving dinner.
Ooh.
And they're like, no one lived. Oh no, the boy lived. The son lived.
And so
Yes.
the boy, that's the son, is the collector,
Yes.
grown up collector. Which
Yes.
was this story? Was it Paul Harvey just happened to be talking about the story this week?
No, I think
and
they
collect-
said something about the crime scene reminded them of that story.
And now you'll hear the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he walks upstairs as he's listening to his life story being told to him, and then we see not inch nails on the radio.
Someone changed
again.
the radio station.
Uh-oh. And he's got his knife and he's walking down getting ready. And he walks over and he sees an empty red chest in his
Living room.
foyer. Yes. And then Arkin's there and he's got a gun to the back of his head. And he's talking about how he chased him down based on the licensed entomologists in the
Yeah,
country.
he's like within 200 miles. There's only 14 licensed.
It's 12.
No,
He
no,
was
no,
num-
no.
There were 14, and he's number
You're
12.
number 12.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
What I hated
gotcha.
is Todd predicted this whole scene.
D-
I
that's
did.
true.
I knew it was going to happen. It was so clear that this was going to
But in
happen.
the theaters, I was like, this scene is awesome.
Okay, just because I guessed it doesn't mean it's not Dope.
Right. And he says, "Are you here to kill him?" And Arkin says, "No, first I'm going to make you feel everything I felt."
The first time we hear the collector's voice.
Yes.
It is.
He's
Yeah.
like, turn around. And we thought we were going to see his face, but we don't.
We do not see his face.
Are
No.
you here to kill me? He's like, no, I'm not here to kill you. That would be way
too easy for the
way too
life.
I
easy.
want you to feel what I felt.
And then I'm going to kill you.
Collector tries to bonk him, but Arkin reverse bonks him back into the chest and then bonks the door down, slamming his fingers
Yeah,
in
it breaks
the
his hand,
process.
Just like he did to him.
And then that's the
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
Roll the credits.
By roll credits, you mean, hey, Jennifer, here's all the things you didn't watch in the movie because it was too disturbing, and we're going to freeze frame on them.
It freeze frames everyone's kill and tells you who the character was and
Which,
actor.
I mean,
is cool.
I do kind of like.
I did sort of love it. It was sort of like in a comedy where they do the outtakes at the end.
Yeah,
Except
but like
instead of the
comic
outtake-
book
yeah.
style.
Except it's like the kills in a horror movie. I thought it was a
Right.
cool thing. You don't
Yeah.
really see a lot of horror movies do it.
I also noticed that Shooter McGavin got third billing. In
Yeah,
this.
he's old.
Yeah, he's in it for 35 seconds, 25 of which he's asleep. And he got third billing.
Right.
We talk about him way longer than he's in the movie.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Because he's Shooter fucking McGavin, man.
Yeah,
He's
man.
awesome.
So, having seen the movie, having talked about it, final thoughts, what do you guys think?
Instant classic. I love it.
Like I said at the beginning, this is not the kind of movie that I am going to seek out, and it's a little too much for me, but I think it does what it does very well. It's paced really well. It goes a lot of places.
It does.
Now that I'm stopping to think back, like there's really not a lot of time to think through what's happening. You're kind of just along for the
Right.
ride, you know? Does kind of wear me out by the end. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. You know, it's fast. It's just too much body horror.
I don't
for
like
me.
body horror, and I think the only reason I like it because is the characters and like how they just make different choices than usual movies.
Yeah.
Really don't like body horror.
Like, I liked this one better than the first
Yeah.
one.
Okay. Yeah, I like it.
I think I like this one better than the first one, too. Probably because you get more story. Not that I needed a lot
Yeah.
more story out of the first one, because I think the first one told the story it meant to, and it
Yeah.
was engaging and fun to watch and hard to watch for me. But like, I understand why people liked it so much.
I think this one like expands on stuff in a way a sequel should. Like,
I think so,
the
too.
stakes are higher.
Yes.
There's like more people. Like, it kind of expands on everyone's story a little bit.
Yeah, and it's not
Action
just
ramps
telling
up.
the same story as the original.
Absolutely.
Too.
All right, let's talk box office.
All right.
So,
Box office.
what do you guys think the budget for this movie was? It came out in 2012, so keep that in mind. What do you guys think the budget was?
I think I might know.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say 1 million.
All right.
Ooh, I'm gonna go like 7.
The budget was $10 million.
All right.
I knew
Right.
there was a
What
one
do you
in
guys
there.
think this made in its domestic box office run?
30 million.
5 million.
It made
Oh.
$6,810,000.
Boom.
Internationally, it made another $2 million, so it made
Okay.
almost $9 million.
So it almost made its money back.
Yeah, it almost made its money back. It also made an additional almost $4 million, $3.7 million in domestic DVD and Blu-ray sales. So it probably made just barely its budget back. It came out on November 30th, 2012. And when it came out, it was the 10th movie that week at the box office.
I saw it opening night.
I'm sure you did. So you were the one person that was there.
And my group of friends at the time really liked the first one, and we were like, we're the only people who are fans of this movie.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot. It's pretty well known in the horror community.
It is. And it was up against some pretty big movies at that time. So the number one movie that week was The Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was Skyfall, Rise of the Guardians, Lincoln, Life of Pi, Wreck-It Ralph. All of those are like huge movies. Now, all of them weren't released that week, but they
But they
were
were all
within,
out.
But those
within
movies are
2 or 3 or 4
pretty
weeks.
good.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Those are like huge movies everyone's seen. And then it was Killing Them Softly, Red Dawn, Flight, and then The Collection.
Wreck-It
Yeah.
Ralph's actually the most accurate fictional representation of me.
It is, yes. And I am the guy with the hammer. So anyway, it came out against some really stiff competition and
Yeah.
didn't do great at the box office. But I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I could also understand why it didn't do that well.
Yeah. Well, Jen, that's box office. Do you have some fun facts for us?
I do have some fun facts. Some of these are a little bit of revisiting from our first episode on The Collector.
Ooh.
Because this was written by Marcus Dunstan and Patrick Melton, and Marcus Dunstan directed. And I
Okay.
think they were the same team that did the original. And he has done, or they've both worked together on some of the later Saw movies. They also
interesting.
did My Bloody Valentine 3D.
Yikes.
So, they got a type.
yeah.
But I mean, this is like, even in the horror community, this is like something that's popular and well known and people really like it. But it's also, I think, definitely falls under the torture porn category.
Yes.
And there are a lot of people in the horror community that do not like that.
I don't like it.
I don't particularly
I think that
either.
this is the exception. The collection series is the exception to what does that well.
Yeah.
I don't really like any of the other ones.
No, I don't either.
The only reason I think I sort of like Saw was because the insane twist at the ending broke my
it was
mind.
like the first one.
Yeah,
Right,
that's fair.
right.
And then it was well written. And I think that's what the characters is what I like about this film.
Agreed.
I look
Agreed.
away when like disgusting
Right.
stuff happens.
Yeah, I feel like
Right.
I have to watch because of the premise of the podcast, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But I could understand horror fans that would normally come out to support a movie not wanting to go see that. Like, I did not see this and I hadn't sought it out because it's just not the kind of thing I'm into.
Yeah, it's
you
not
know?
a Jenn type horror movie.
Okay, so the hotel they're at is called the Hotel Argento.
Oh.
And
Is
that
it a real
was-
hotel?
No.
Oh,
in the
okay,
movie, it's
sorry.
named Hotel Argento.
Sorry.
And it's named that or as an homage to Dario Argento,
Oh,
who's
man.
the director of Todd's favorite movie, Suspiria.
I mean, honestly, I've never
Suspiria.
seen a Dario Argento thing that I thought was decent in any way.
0 for 1 for
Hot
Todd.
takes for Todd.
I mean,
yeah.
I've only
Yeah.
seen one of his movies, so
Yeah, and that's the
Italian
only Dario
directors.
Argento I've seen too. I mean, it's giallo, and I feel like it's a very specific type of horror that you either really enjoy or you're just not.
I
into.
also feel like because it was done in Italy, like they have a disadvantage because everything has to be overdubbed because Italy is like notorious for the crews on set will not be quiet. You
That would
can't
fucking
get them
drive
to be
me
quiet. So
insane.
all the dialogue has to be overdubbed, and especially in the 70s when Suspiria was filmed, overdubbing dialogue it never looked good. So I have a problem with that in those types of movies.
So the mannequin scene where they have the mannequins with the bloody scalps on them, that is an homage to the movie Maniac. It's about a man who will scalp women and put their scalp.
Oh, I
their
thought it was a
hair.
guy on the dance floor who just couldn't stop dancing.
Yeah.
He was dancing like he's never danced before.
Right, he's a maniac,
Yeah,
Todd.
exactly.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a maniac. Okay.
Nailed
So there is a sequel.
There's a sequel coming.
Well, okay, so in 2019, Josh Stewart, who plays Arkham, tweeted a poster for The Collector 3, and I think it's The Collected.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's captioned "Lock the Door." So apparently it's happening, although given the way everything is shutting down now, who knows when, but Marcus Dunstan has signed on to direct it if it does happen. So
I have to assume that they are actually filming it now, or they
Oh,
probably
they
have
already
been.
did? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they probably, if they're not done filming it, they probably had to delay it. But if you look at the IMDb page for it, there are, I would say conservatively, 15 actors. There is an actor who's playing the Collector, and it's not Richard Archer who played him in this one.
Really?
Who is, honestly, he's not acted a lot. Richard Archer hasn't, but he's done a shitload of stunt work. Like, he's a stunt guy.
really.
Oh, God.
And he has acted some, but he's done a lot.
makes sense.
A lot of stunt work.
Well, the first time we actually hear him talk is in the end of this movie.
Yes.
So it could be that maybe in the third one they need more of an actor.
I mean, that makes sense to me.
It makes more sense that they needed someone bigger acting chops. I get that.
Right.
Yeah.
And those are my fun facts.
Well, thank you for your fun facts.
You're welcome.
All right, Jen, let's hit them with that scary scale.
All right. Hey,
All
listeners.
right.
Our scary scale is a scale we use to rank how scary we thought the movie was. It's not the quality of the movie, it's how scared we were tonight when we watched it. Our 1 example is Ghostbusters. Our 10 example is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. All right. And Todd, what are you rating The Collection?
I think I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay.
Okay.
It was not super jump scary, which is normally what gets me, but there was a lot of body horror, and that just
Yeah.
really, it doesn't get me as much as it gets you, Jen, but it does bother me quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I sort of forced myself not to look away. I did sort of have my hands in front of my face, but I could still see all of the screen, and so that's why I'm giving it a 4.
Yeah. So it still counts.
Yeah, I think it does.
All right, Mikey.
I think I'll give it a 3.
All right.
Got a similar reason. Like, there's
Yeah.
a whole scene I can't watch because I can't do the broken arm scene.
Oh,
Yeah,
it is
dude.
rough, man.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you're not like being gaslit by your two friends to watch horror movies, I would say look away for that
no,
scene.
and there's not many movies that I can't watch the scenes.
No, because you're
Yeah.
dead inside.
right, because I'm dead inside. So like, I have to give it credit.
Absolutely.
I'm going to give it a 5.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and I don't think it's as bad as the first one because I don't think they linger on the body horror as
Right.
much. We don't really see the impact that much. And it's more bloody but less body part-y,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But still, it gets me. I just don't
Agree.
like I could not watch the arm scene, partly because of the sound. Like I wasn't looking and
the whole
covering my
thing,
ears.
You can just tell that whoever's like part of that duo who's really into body stuff, like, that was like their
They were like,
baby. You're
yeah.
I'm like, ugh, I don't like this.
And that's our scary scale.
All right, guys. So this week, Mikey, you made me watch The Collection. What are you making me watch next week?
I
Well,
believe I'm making you watch Reanimator.
Yes.
A classic in the horror community.
Yes.
yeah, and I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it
Really?
either,
Yeah.
but I've heard people mention that it's like a crazy, it's 80s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a crazy 80s
I can't
movie.
believe that Jen's not seen this.
No, man, I mean, the kind of movies that you are drawn to are like the opposite of the kind of ones that I am drawn to.
And listen, I'm on board for it. Last time you made me watch a crazy 80s movies, it was House 2, and that was one of my favorite movies.
This one, it goes places.
Nice. I'm on board for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. It's just, and it's not one that I'm like have never wanted to watch. It's just not one that literally like
It's
speaks to me.
Basically, like, what happens if your creepy college roommate like really gets out there?
Okay.
like really goes crazy.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
All right, well, awesome, guys. Watch a Reanimator for next week. The time has come for Mikey to read a review. So while he's looking that up, let me tell you how you can have Mikey read your review. And that is simply by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple iTunes and or any other platform. But if you do it on another platform, screenshot it and send it to info@horrorvirgin.com and we will read those. We've actually gotten quite a few today. Like 3 of them came up today. It was awesome. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
The reviews really do help people find the show. So please keep that coming.
They do.
Thank you so much.
It also makes us feel good.
It does.
And it's hard out there right now. you
It
know?
is. So, Mikey, you got one?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Cat2292
Hey, Kat.
Nice.
says, from a fellow horror virgin.
Aw.
Oh, nice.
I really appreciate this podcast as a relative horror virgin myself. I'm a lifelong scaredy cat who only started to really get into horror in the past couple of years.
Did I leave this review?
And as such, I'm still acquainting myself with all the tropes and themes and history that come with the genre.
Yeah, I feel like that's what I'm going through right now. Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of my foray into horror has been hearing longtime horror fans' perspectives on the spooky things I'm watching. And this podcast does that in such a fun way, while
Aw.
also giving me a relatable figure in Todd, my fellow
Oh,
horror
I'm
virgin.
relatable, Jen.
There are dozens of you.
I've only just started listening to episodes about movies I've already seen, but I look forward to picking up some recommendations as well. Thanks,
Awesome.
horror virgin. 5 stars.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Cat2292. That was
Thank
very, very
you.
sweet.
Very sweet.
I love when I hear horror virgins listen to the podcast.
Uh-huh.
That makes me feel like I'm not so alone.
Right, yeah. You're not alone.
All right, guys. Well, if you want Mikey to read your review, leave us a 5-star
Leave us
review.
a review.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
We are a member of the Consequence Podcast Network, so if you would do us a favor and check out some of their shows like Kyle Meredith with This Must Be the Gig, The Opus,
The Fifth Dimension.
Element. Sorry, Element. That's right, Dimension.
Oh
Sorry.
my God, we need to make Jen watch The Fifth Element.
Hell.
I fucking hate that movie.
Oh.
Sci-Fi Virgin would be just as fun as a podcast because you would be Todd, like so Todd.
Yeah.
Except
would
I
be
would just be annoyed, not
She's like, why can't this
terrified.
be Event Horizon?
Why can't everything be Event Horizon?
Anyway.
Anyways, okay. Fifth Dimension, The Assembly,
Yes.
Ghost Echoes, The Losers Club, and Halloweenies.
Halloweenies,
Check
yes.
all of them out.
Yes.
They're
And
all
Jen
awesome.
guest stars on all of them because she's like,
The respectable member of the crew. Yeah.
I'm the one who can clean up and go out.
I'm
you know?
pretty sure everybody just thinks I'm a guest.
I mean, it's because you're doing that secret underground guesting on podcasts.
Guesting on podcasts. Or I just release episodes of the horror version on my own podcast feed and charge for it.
Do not look for that because it does not exist.
No. Check out all those shows.
You can check out their website at consequenceofsound.com. And if you want to check out our shit, go to horrorvirgin.com or us on social at horrorvirgin. And Mikey at mrandolph24,
Yeah.
Jen with 2 N's, Ferratu, and me at Todd J. Awesome.
Yeah.
On the website, you can get Jen's blog and links to the merch store, awesome shit like that.
Uh-huh.
And if you want to help financially support the show, please do by going to patreon.com/horrorvirgin, where we have a lot of great levels and a lot of great things. In fact, Jen has been putting up some videos on...
The platform. I just did a video review
Right.
about the platform. Probably going to be doing some more of the horror that I'm watching.
Some people have been asking us to watch The Haunting of Hill House, so I started a video series on The Haunting of Hill House where I do both watch-throughs where like I put a camera on me and I start the thing and we watch the thing together and you guys get to see all the crazy jump scares. And I also have a discussion series on it after every episode. And I do that because I'm sort of locked down in my apartment, my girlfriend, who is also locked down in my apartment. So we do those together. That's Natalie.
Voluntarily.
Yeah.
And I have a rival discussion video where I counter everything that Todd said and explain what's actually happening.
You haven't done that
I'm
yet,
kidding.
but you 100% should. But you do have a great blog on the website.
I do, yeah.
So people should check that out.
You should also check out, we are going to be doing live watch-alongs
Yes.
on Sunday nights in April. And check out our socials and the Consequence website because they've got more of a schedule for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, and we also got bonus episodes up on Patreon and stuff like that. We got a lot of great stuff going on
it's
there.
like a whole thing.
It's
We're
like a whole
doing
thing.
yeah.
But if you can't afford to financially support the show, please just join the Facebook group for daily free content. And honestly, right now when we're all so isolated, it's a great place to come together
Just
as
community.
a community
Yeah.
and sort of feel like you are not so alone.
Yeah, and you guys did a live video, the Facebook Live fun
Yeah,
time.
I was testing some stuff out. So I honestly think we should, and hopefully by the time this come out, we have done more of those. Because I really enjoyed doing it. Like Natalie and I were on, my girlfriend and I were on for about 20 minutes. But it was fun. It was great. We should do more of them.
Yeah, that's going to be it for us tonight. I'm Jen.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin Todd, guys.
Have a great Mikey month.
Bye!
The power is gone to your head.
Yes, it is. Now, as a serial killer, I need to go find out which event space I should rent next.
Mikey nerds!
That's actually where the coronavirus started.
Wasn't that club scene?
She was patient one.
Yeah.
There was also one bat in there.
It was his bug collection.
Consequence Podcast Network.